na shirika la utangazaji nchini KBC. Kukuletea matangazo haya mimi naitwa Geoffrey Kwatemba. Mtazamaji, ni kufahamishe kwenye orodha ya shughuli za bunge alasiri ya leo. Bunge linatarajiwa kujadili miswada kadha wa kadha na kuangazia baadhi ya hoja ambazo tayari zitakuwa zinashughulikiwa katika bunge alasiri ya leo. Mojawapo ni mswada wa mabadiliko wa vyombo vya kisheria, mswada wa bunge la kitaifa nambari 2 wa mwaka 2023 ambao unaongozwa na mwenyekiti wa kamati ya sheria iliyokasimiwa, Mheshimiwa Samuel Chepkonga, mbunge wa Ainabkoi. Kumbuka ya kwamba vikao hivi vinakuwa ama kikao hiki kinakuwa kinaanza majira ya saa 8:30 kwa muda wa dakika 3 zijazo. Kikao hiki kitakuwa kinaanza rasmi. Tayari namuona naibu spika wa bunge hili Gladys Boss tayari yupo kwenye ukumbi. Mheshimiwa Kivasu Nzoka tayari ameshaingia, na ishara tosha kwamba wamejiandaa kwa ajili ya kujadili miswada na hoja mbalimbali alasiri hii ya leo. Kwingineko kwenye shughuli ama orodha ya shughuli za bunge alasiri ya leo, kuna hoja ya kuzingatia makubaliano nyingi ya Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki EAC kuhusu ajali za ndege na upelelezi wa matukio ya ndege. Mswada ama hoja hii imetengenezwa na Mheshimiwa George Masharia ambaye ni mbunge wa Ndia. Hoja hii itakuwa inaangazia na kupatia bunge hili ili liweze kupitisha taarifa ya kamati ya idara ya uchukuzi na miundombinu kuhusu mapito yake ya makubaliano ya kimataifa ya Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki EAC kuhusu ajali na uchunguzi wa matukio ya ndege, iliyowasilishwa kwenye meza ya bunge Alhamisi tarehe 17 Agosti mwaka huu 2023. Kwa mujibu wa masharti ya kifungu cha 8.4 cha sheria ya kufanya na kuridhia mkataba 2012, inaidhinisha uadhinishaji wa mkataba wa kimataifa wa ajali na matukio ya ndege wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki EAC. Kwingineko vilevile bunge linatarajiwa kuangazia mswada wa mabadiliko ya vyuo vikuu, mswada wa bunge la taifa nambari 38 wa mwaka 2023 ambao utakuwa unawasilishwa na utakuwa unasomwa kwa mara ya kwanza. Mtazamaji, ni kufahamishe lengo kuu la mswada huu ni kutoa mfumo wa upangaji wa kipekee wa wanafunzi wanaofadhiliwa na serikali katika vyuo vikuu vya umma. Zaidi ya hayo, ni kufahamisha ya kwamba mswada huu unalenga kuondoa uwakilishi wa bodi za vyuo vikuu vya kibinafsi katika bodi ya usimamizi ya vyuo vikuu na vyuo vikuu vya Kenya KUCCPS, ili kulinda hazina ya vyuo vikuu kulingana na kanuni za katiba za fedha za umma. Vilevile kuna mswada wa bima uliofanyiwa marekebisho, mswada wa bunge la taifa, mswada nambari 18 wa mwaka 2023. Napozungumza nawe namuona wakilishi wa kina mama kaunti ya Kakamega Elsie Muhanda tayari akiwa anaingia pale bungeni. Namuona vilevile wakilishi ya kina mama kaunti ya Busia Catherine Omanyo tayari ameshaingia katika ukumbi huu. Mswada huu madhumuni yake ni kuhakikisha kwamba unaimarisha wajibikaji ndani ya makampuni ya bima na uzingatiaji wa majukumu ya uaminifu pamoja na majukumu ya kitaaluma ya wasimamizi wakuu wa makampuni ya bima. Bunge linatarajiwa vilevile kuangazia mswada wa mamlaka ya dawa za Kenya, mswada wa bunge la taifa nambari 54 wa mwaka 2022 ambao utakuwa unasomwa kwa mara ya pili. Mswada huu umetayarishwa na Mheshimiwa Robert Bukose, mbunge wa Endebess. Mswada huu wa mamlaka ya madawa ya Kenya unalenga kuweka mfumo wa kina wa kudhibiti dawa nchini. ninapotizama jinsi ambavyo shughuli zinaendelea, nitakuwa na kufahamisha kikao hiki alasiri ya leo kitakuwa kinaongozwa, ama ni kufahamisha kwamba tayari kikao hiki kitakuwa kinaongozwa na Mheshimiwa Daktari Moses Masika Wetangula, ambaye ni spika wa bunge hili la kitaifa. Tayari anaingia katika ukumbi huu na shughuli nzima zitakuwa zinaanza rasmi baada ya yeye kufika kwenye kiti chake na kuongoza katika maombi ya ufunguzi. Hatimaye tutakuwa tunajua ni lipi ambalo litakuwa linachukua mwelekeo. Ikiwa akidi tayari itakuwa imeafikiwa, kikao hiki kitakuwa kinaanza rasmi. Nikurejeshe moja kwa moja kwenye ukumbi huu kwa ufunguzi, maombi ya ufunguzi. Kumradhi.
Na wema wako umetoa nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala wa haki wa wanadamu. Tukusihi utazame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita ili tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri yetu. Tukuomba uteremshie baraka zako sisi tuliokutanika hapa, na tujalie na tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa zako ziendelezwe, na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Sergeant, you may continue ringing the bell.
Spika wa bunge hili Mheshimiwa Daktari Moses Masika Wetangula ameamrisha kukirizwa kwa kengele ili kuhakikisha kwamba inapatia nafasi wabunge ambao pengine walikuwa wameshikika katika kamati mbalimbali kuweza kuingia katika ukumbi hii ili kufikisha akidi ya wabunge 50 kabla ya kikao hiki kuanza rasmi. Muda wote jinsi ambavyo ninavyotizama naona waheshimiwa wanazidi kuingia, na muda wote akidi itakuwa inaafikiwa na bunge hili kuanza kikao chake. Nikufahamisha kwamba kwenye orodha ya shughuli vile vile alasiri ya leo kuna mswada wa marekebisho wa Baraza la Taifa la Vijana nambari 1 wa mwaka 2023 ambao umetayarishwa na Mheshimiwa Joshua Kandie, mbunge wa Baringo ya Kati, ambao utakuwa unasomwa kwa mara ya pili. Lengo kuu la mswada huu, mtazamaji, ni kurekebisha sheria ya Baraza la Vijana la Kitaifa ili kuondoa wanachama wa Baraza la Vijana la Kitaifa kwa kuruhusu kwa ajili kwa ushindani kwa vijana wanaohudumu katika baraza hilo kupitia afisi ya wakurugenzi wa vijana wa kaunti. Bunge linatarajiwa vile vile kuangazia mswada wa ardhi uliofanyiwa mabadiliko, mswada nambari 40 wa mwaka 2022 ambao utakuwa unasomwa kwa mara ya pili. Mswada huu umetayarishwa na Mheshimiwa Simon King'ara, mbunge wa Ruiru. Ni kufahamisha mtazamaji ya kwamba mswada huu unataka kufanyia marekebisho ya sheria ya ardhi nambari 6 ya mwaka 2012 ili kutoa kwamba pale ambapo ardhi ya umma imetolewa kwa shirika la umma au taasisi ya umma na tume ya kitaifa ya ardhi kwa madhumuni ya umma, au pale ardhi ambayo imetengwa na watu au makampuni ya ununuzi wa ardhi kwa madhumuni ya umma. Vile vile alasiri ya leo kuna mswada wa mabadiliko ya tume ya utumishi wa umma, huu ukiwa ni mswada wa bunge la taifa nambari 6 wa mwaka 2023 ambao utakuwa unasomwa kwa mara ya pili. Umetayarishwa na Mheshimiwa Benjamin Gadhiru, mbunge wa Embakasi ya Kati. Mtazamaji, ni kufahamishe lengo kuu la mswada huu wa Tume ya Utumishi wa Umma ni kurekebisha sheria ya Tume ya Utumishi wa Umma mwaka 2017 ili kuagiza umri wa lazima wa miaka 60 katika sheria hiyo. Mabadiliko hayo yanakusudiwa kuongeza nafasi za kazi zinazopatikana kwa raia wa Kenya walio chini ya umri wa miaka 60. Tunazidi kusubiria akidi iweze kuafikiwa kabla kikao hiki kuanza rasmi alasiri ya leo. Kwenye orodha ya shughuli za bunge vilevile kuna mswada wa teknolojia ya uzazi wa mabadiliko, ambao tayari mswada huu ni mswada nambari 61 wa mwaka 2022, ambao utakuwa unasomwa kwa mara ya pili, na mswada huu umewakilishwa na Mheshimiwa Millie Odhiambo ambaye ni mbunge wa Mbita. Naarifiwa kwamba tayari akidi imeweza kuafikiwa, na hivyo basi niruhusu mtazamaji ni kurejeshe moja kwa moja kwenye ukumbi huu ili uweze kufuatilia shughuli za bunge.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Chairperson, Special Funds Accounts Committee. Majority Leader, who is the chair of that committee? Wapi she called Fatuma? Okay, let's go to next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Chairperson, Special Accounts Committee. Special Funds Accounts Committee. Wandai, that is your jurisdiction. That is your jurisdiction. Where is the member? Special Funds Accounts Committee.
Honorable Speaker, that the Honorable Fatuma Mohammed is 2 minutes away. If we could indulge her, that when she comes in, she may be able to proceed.
That is obviously guesswork, because if it was 2 minutes away, I would see her in the walkway.
No, I actually met her personally a few minutes ago. Yeah. Thanks.
Next order. Next order. Okay. Yes, Irene Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that aware that Article 231, subsection 2 of the Constitution mandates the Central Bank of Kenya to formulate monetary policy, promote price stability, and to issue currency, among other functions. Further aware that the National Payment Systems Act provides that Central Bank may, by notice in the Gazette, designate a payment instrument if the bank is of the opinion that the payment instruction is of widespread use as a means of making payment and may affect the payment systems of Kenya, or to protect the interests of the public or of the integrity of the payment instrument, noting that use of cryptocurrency has gained traction in the recent past and has become an increasingly significant aspect of the modern financial ecosystem. Further, noting that Kenya is amongst the leading countries in cryptocurrency ownership in Africa, concerned that the widespread use of cryptocurrency in the country without regulation could drive financial instability, market manipulation, and potential illegal financial activities. Further concerned that if left unregulated, cryptocurrencies may unofficially replace and devalue the domestic currency, cognizant of the fact that the Finance Act of 2023 introduced tax on income derived from the transfer or exchange of digital assets, which include cryptocurrencies. digital documents, audible contents, motion pictures, and other related digital data, and acknowledging that there is need to establish a regulatory framework to ensure mandatory registration of cryptocurrency, digital wallets, now thereof, this House urges the national government through the National Treasury and Economic Planning to develop a framework for the establishment of a regulatory framework on the use of cryptocurrencies in the country and provide for licensing, governance, and operations of cryptocurrency-related businesses. I thank you.
Go back to order number 5. Chairperson, Special Funds Accounts Committee. Honorable Fatuma, you have held the House at ransom. You know very well when you have business on the floor, the Speaker should find you in the chamber. We've called out your orders twice. And your leader, the distinguished minority leader, was constrained to also mislead the House that you are 2 minutes away when you are not. Can you apologize to the House and proceed to lay the paper at order number 5?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm very sorry for the delay, Mr. Speaker. I have a terrible toothache and they've just done it. So even my speaking might be a bit funny. That's why I've delayed. I'm very sorry, Mr. Speaker. I'm sorry to the House at large.
So go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 18th October 2023. Fourth report of the Special Funds Accounts Committee on its consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statement for the Kenyan Slum Upgrading Low-Cost Housing and Infrastructure Trust and for the financial year 2017-2018 to 2021-2022 and the Alcoholic Drink Control Fund for the financial year 2017-2018.
Thank you. Proceed under Order 6 to give notice of motion.
Thank you once more, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that this House adopts the report of the Special Funds Accounts Committee on its consideration of the report of Auditor General on the financial statement for Kenya Slum Upgrading Low-Cost Housing and Infrastructure Trust Fund for the financial year 2017-2018 and to 2021-2022, and the Alcoholic Drink Control Fund for the financial year 2017-2018, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 10th October 2023.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Member for Lamu East, Rueda Obo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 43, I wish to make a general statement with regard to the alleged claims of ethnic cleansing in Lamu County. Honorable Speaker, on Thursday, 5th October 2023, during a maiden speech in the House, the Women Rep of Lamu County, Honorable Muthoni Marubu MP, made allegation implying that the ongoing incident of insecurity in Lamu County were disguised of ethnic cleansing perpetrated by the indigenous people on the Agikuyu community in the region. I wish to put it on record that the residents of Lamu County, including those from Iraq, Mkokoni sublocation, who comprises persons from various ethnic backgrounds, among them the Agikuyu, have been living together in peace. Honorable Speaker, the security situation in Lamu has been delicate, and it has become an easy target for attacks by criminal gangs and infestation of Al-Shabaab militants. especially in Boni Forest. As a matter of fact, the insecurity effects affect all residents unlike irrespective of their ethnicity. Additionally, the names of terror suspects released by the Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry of Interior and National Administration yesterday show that these individuals hail from a cross-section of all tribes and regions. Not just from Lamu, it is therefore regrettable that my colleague made such unfounded claims of ethnic cleansing when the entire Lamu County has been suffering of the external militant and terrorist attacks. Honorable Speaker, as the Member of Parliament of Lamu East constituency and previous Lamu County women representative, I appeal to the colleague and other politician leaders from the region to encourage peace and ethnic harmony as opposed to funding ethnic division. Further, I urge the government to quick investigate into the root cause of the incident of insecurity in Lamu in order to bring perpetrators to the books. I also request the security agencies to step up security surveillance in Lamu in order to stabilize peace in the region. Finally, Honorable Speaker, I sympathize with those affected by the attack and call upon all members of this House to unite in the fight against insecurity in Lamu and other vulnerable parts of the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Member for Lamu East. I've been asked by Owen Bayer that he wants to make a comment.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to support that statement by Honorable Captain Rueda. The issues of Lamu, which are issues of the coast is an area where very many communities have come together to form the coast. And for us to continue to coexist, we need to respect all communities at the same time. Inflammatory remarks against one community and the other will make coast ungovernable. So I would like to ask leaders from coast of whatever tribe to see themselves as coastal leaders and not leaders or an extension of another community to the coast. That is the only way that we can live harmoniously. Whatever is happening in Lamu must be condemned because that is criminal. People killing others is criminal and should not be seen as tribal or one tribe against the other. It is criminal acts and those criminals must be brought to book. But for us to look at crime as tribal, if a Giriama, there are many Giriamas who live in Lamu. They have been affected by the killings. But I cannot stand as a leader to say that the Bajunis or the Kikuyus or the what are fighting the Giriamas. Those people are criminal elements and they must be arrested and put into where they are supposed to be and not to start inflammatory remarks against one community. If we go that way, Lamu will be ungovernable. And when people start digging into history and saying, you know, we came, you guys didn't come, this is our own place, all of us belong to Kenya, and the people of Lamu belong to Lamu, and all of them belong to Lamu. But we cannot, Honorable Speaker, allow inflammatory remarks from leaders that are done in a flagrant way in such a way that now communities are taking positions against the other. I think leaders in Lamu must come together, sit down as leaders of Lamu, not leaders who are in Lamu by extension of another community or another tribe. That is wrong. The people of Lamu elected the leaders the way they are. One from Bajuni, one from Kikuyu, one from whatever tribe. They put them together and said, work together for the benefit of us as a community of Lamu. If today we start segregating, you know, we are leaders from Lamu, but we come from this region. We are leaders from Lamu, but that is where the problem starts. And that's why people are losing their lives. And the more the leaders start to grandstand, the more people will lose in Lamu. But I want to urge the leadership in Lamu and the leadership in Coast in general, please stop these inflammatory remarks. Let's come together and look at the issue. If it is criminal, it is criminal. I have not seen that this is a tribal issue. I heard that 4 Giriamas were killed there, but I cannot go there and say that they are being killed because of tribal. It is criminal, and it must be condemned as such. It is criminal. And I want to ask leaders from other regions, please don't pour fuel on the already fire that is in Lamu. I have seen comments from other regions of this country saying those are our people. No, those are coastal people. They are our people, and we love them equally. And nobody should take the position that because they came from a certain region, now that these are their people, and therefore they are beating drums of war from that other area. We are telling them to desist, allow us as coastal leaders to handle the issue of Lamu and ensure that there is peace and prevailing peace in Lamu. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Minority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I've been listening keenly.
Don't take as long as you're
No, I will not.
Yes.
I've been listening keenly to both Honorable Baya and Honorable Captain Ruega on the matter of insecurity in Lamu County. And I'm sure I also listened keenly to the previous speaker, the leader who was speaking on, here, I think last week or part one, from Lamu. I can't remember her name properly. But Mr. Speaker, my plea is that let all these leaders sober up. The issue of insecurity in Lamu County has got a very long history. I remember vividly the times when there were chaos in Mpeketoni and people lost their lives, very many people. And all these people are Kenyans. So I want to agree with you, Honorable Baya and Honorable Captain, that we cannot put an ethnic tag on crime. Criminals are criminals. And that is why we have got our security agencies being paid by taxpayers' money. It is only in Lamu, Mr. Speaker, that we have had now the KDF being deployed almost permanently to deal with internal security issues. I'm not even sure if this House gave an approval for the KDF to be permanently based in Lamu to deal with petty crimes of people killing one another. Mr. Speaker, the issue of insecurity in Lamu, and indeed this issue of insecurity in any other part of this country, requires that we allow the security agencies to do their work. And they do their work impartially, objectively, and expeditiously. How I wish that the perpetrators of these crimes in Lamu are apprehended as soon as possible and taken to court. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, the other day we were told that a list of the instigators of this violence in Lamu will be published. I was waiting to see what are these names that are being published. Yesterday I saw a list in the media from the DCI. If you look at that list, you get worried, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I want to say this. We don't want lists of instigators of violence being published. We want to see those people being arrested and taken to court. Why publish names of people and photos? We want them arrested. Let us know what is the problem in Lamu before we venture into Haiti and other foreign places. This is a critical matter, and Kenyans are losing their lives. It doesn't matter whether he's a Kikuyu, a Giriama, as you said, I don't know who else lives in Lamu, a Luo, okay, a Pokomo. Those are Kenyans, and the security agencies must do their work. Thank you.
Zamzam, 2 minutes.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi kama mama Mombasa, kama vile vita vya Lamu vinavyoathiri Lamu na imani pia vinaathiri jamii yetu yote nzima. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi ningependa kutoa ushauri kwa viongozi wa Lamu, viongozi wa Pwani. Haya ni masuala ambayo yanashika kaunti zetu. Tuweze kushikana kama viongozi, tutafute suluhisho kama viongozi wa Pwani. Mheshimiwa Spika, ukiangalia mimi nimechanganya kabila tofauti. Babangu ni Mijikenda, mama ni Mbaluya, nimeolewa sijui na Msamia Mzaramu, nimechanganya, lakini haitokuwa sawa ikiwa mimi leo nitaambiwa toka hapa nenda kwenu ama iwe hivi na vile. Haitakuwa sawa. Sote ni wa Kenya na tunafaa kukaa mahali popote. Mheshimiwa Spika, isipokuwa na mimi pia nitambenda kusema Mheshimiwa Spika, historical land injustices zimekuwa sababu ya vita vingi kutokea ndani ya Pwani. Mimi ningeomba wapwani wote watritiwe kwa njia moja. Kama ni masala ya mashamba, wabajuni wakipewa title na wengine wote wapewe title ili iweze kubalance. Manake matatizo yanatokea kuwa mimi nimezaliwa hapa ndo nyumbani, sina cheti, pengine na mwenzangu ambaye pia amezaliwa hapa wa kabila mengine amepata cheti. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ikiwa kama serikali inaweza kuchukua Wakenya wote kama hadhi moja na sisi wa pwani tupewe hati miliki za mashamba yetu, tutaweza kutatua haya matatizo. Lakini kivyovyote vile maisha ya mtu haifai kupotezwa. Sio kubishiwa mlango akiitwa Kamau ama Njoroge akitoka nje anachinjwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi naweza kupinga vikali kama mama Mombasa County. Asante.
Bowen. Give Honorable Bowen, and you'll be the last on that.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, last week, I had the Honorable member, the women rep for Lamu, when she was making a maiden speech here. And now, Honorable Speaker, I've had the Honorable Captain Rueda. Mr. Speaker, the problem in Lamu from the two leaders, when I listened to them, the problem in Lamu is in the leadership of Lamu. Mr. Speaker, you cannot have two members of parliament who are seated in this house, the women rep for Lamu, the Honorable member for Lamu, both of them are in this house. They cannot talk to one another, but they address one another through the media and through the floor of this house. And they believe by so doing, they are going to bring peace in Lamu. It is not possible, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge my two colleagues, the Honorable Rueda and the Honorable Mudhoni. Mr. Speaker, if they can sit down as members of parliament and the leaders who are elected by the people of Lamu, instead of addressing each other in the media and the floor of this house, Mr. Speaker, or even through WhatsApps, if they can sit down and talk together for the benefit of the people of Lamu. Mr. Speaker, some of us, we come from Rift Valley. The Rift Valley majorly is it's a cosmopolitan area, Mr. Speaker, including Trans Nzoia and Bungoma, where you come from. We have all the faces of Kenya. And we have coexisted very well, though we have had small issues here and there. But you will find that the small issues, Mr. Speaker, is majorly maybe because of the local population, but the leaders come together and see on how they can make their people coexist. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Deputy Leader of Majority, the Honorable Baya, spoke very well. And as Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, we don't have other country. The Kenyans who are in Lamu are our brothers and sisters. Those in northern Kenya, those in Rift Valley, we want to live as one people called the Kenya, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
So I want to ask the Honorable Baya to take up leadership, especially in the coastal region, and make sure to bring together these leaders to make sure that the people of Lamu live in peace. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I'll give, on special request, I'll give Dawood, then Hassan, and close with the majority leader.
Thank you,
Dawood,
Mr. Speaker.
2 minutes. Hassan, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've asked for a special request because my grandmother was born in Lamu, my father was born in Lamu, and I've got generations who were born in Lamu. And I do not understand the fight between the two members of parliament, like what Honorable Bowen has said. Because what I remember from what my father told me about Lamu was the most peaceful place on earth. And that is where most of the people who came from the Indian subcontinent, they passed through Lamu before going anywhere else. And Mr. Speaker, there should be nothing like ethnic cleansing. This is not Rwanda. This is not what has happened in the Eastern Europe. So, Mr. Speaker, we need to get to the bottom of this, and I request the Coast Parliamentary Group to get to the bottom of this and work out with both members of parliament, because what is happening is both members of parliament are inciting the public against each other, Mr. Speaker, and they should not be allowed to incite people. That's what I request, Mr. Speaker, because Lamu is peaceful. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Hassan.
Speaker, for the opportunity, and I want to speak on Honorable Rueda Mohammed's motion.
It's not a motion, it's a statement.
A statement, Rueda Mohammed's statement. I come from a multicultural, multi-ethnic neighborhood, and I believe that Kenya is a fragile state in the making, a fragile nation, and we should do whatever is necessary to reconcile our communities, to be part of the solutions that we face every day. And I think it is very dangerous when members of parliament or politicians use this opportunity of pulling apart communities rather than putting them together. And I think the history of Lamu is well known. The historical legacies of that neighborhood is well known. And Honorable Owen Baya has spoken like a true leader, like a visionary leader. And I think it is important for the members of parliament and for the politicians from the coast region to come up together and resolve those problems, because any society would have clashes, would have problems, and the people who are killing innocent people there, as has been said here, are not part of the solution. They are criminals, they are murderers, and they should be dealt with very strongly by our legislations and our law enforcement officials, and they should be isolated. Let's work for our unity. Let's work for peace. Let's work for brotherhood and sisterhood of our nation, and let us make sure that, in fact, elements who want to spoil our peace and unity are eliminated and isolated by all of us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First, let me commend all the members who have spoken to this issue, particularly the member for Lamu East for raising the issue. Honorable Speaker, I could not agree more with the sentiments of most of the members who have spoken, beginning with what the Honorable Member for Kamukunji is saying, that not just Lamu, the entire country, we all live together as one nation. And Honorable Speaker, all our communities are all over the country. You will go to Bungoma, you will find Bajunis who are living in Bungoma and living there peacefully with other people. You will find members of a Somali community in Lamu, just like you will find them in Kikuyu constituency. And even Pokomos and the Giriamas, as Honorable Owen Baya would tell you, Giriamas were known to be inhabitants of the coastal region. But today, Giriamas are living even in the north of Kenya. And as leaders, Honorable Speaker, we must always bear in mind that we bear a great responsibility and duty of care to the people that we lead. And that duty of care and responsibility that we bear as leaders must always encourage ourselves to speak in a manner that we always bring our people together. Honorable Speaker, criminals and terrorists are not unaware of the differences that we have as a country along our ethnicities. And therefore, terrorists and criminals, Honorable Speaker, we would want and will endeavor to take advantage of any small difference that we perpetuate as leaders to be able to incite Kenyans against each other. And I would really want to plead, because it is always fashionable, Honorable Speaker, if I stand here to speak to my community and speak to the gallery. And especially if you come from a large community like mine, Honorable Speaker, there is always a temptation to speak to the gallery and what will excite the people, and especially our voters. But we must always bear in mind that we owe a duty of care even to those big communities that we lead. And however small or big a community is in this country, we all have been put in this country by the Almighty God to live peaceably together. And we must desist from using words or issuing statements that may look populist in nature, but may end up inciting communities against each other, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, the CS yesterday, the CS in charge of internal security, in fact, released a whole list of terrorists, criminals, who are terrorizing people in Lamu. And security challenges, Honorable Speaker, relating to terrorism are not only in Lamu County. The neighboring counties of Garissa, Wajir, Mandera have suffered the same fate. And we cannot say that there is a particular community being targeted in Lamu, but they are not being targeted in Mandera or in Garissa for that matter. Terrorists, Honorable Speaker, are criminals who must be looked at with the prism of criminal activity, not on the prism of their ethnicity. And not where they come from, Honorable Speaker, not even their religion. Because I have seen, Honorable Speaker, in Lamu and in northern Kenya, many Muslims suffer under the hands of terrorism. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I just want to plead for restraint, especially amongst us as a political leadership. Our people, even in Lamu, and I'll say that, Honorable Speaker, because I have relatives. My first cousins are living in Peketoni. And when I speak to them, they speak about criminals and terrorists, not about ethnicities or one ethnic community targeting another ethnic community, Honorable Speaker. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, as leaders, we must be cautious so that we do not fall prey to the machinations of those criminals called terrorists who would want to exploit our ethnic divisions and make it look like there is one ethnic community that is being targeted in this region, another ethnic community will seem like they are being targeted in another region. Tomorrow, Honorable Speaker, we are speaking about one community in Lamu. Tomorrow, if you speak to the member for Likoni, Honorable Mishimboko, she will tell you, for instance, Likoni has a huge population from Luo Nyanza. What will happen tomorrow, Honorable Speaker, if terrorists target the community from Luo Nyanza in Likoni? Are we then going to say that those who originally came from Luo Nyanza are being targeted by the Digos who also live in Likoni? Honorable Speaker, that is why we must look at terrorism as a criminal activity and help government to deal with it as a criminal activity that has nothing to do with our ethnicity, with where we come from, with the religion that we profess. Criminals and terrorists are plainly criminals and terrorists. Honorable Speaker, I know we would be tempted, because I saw the other day the member for Mombasa County express solidarity, even at the global front, with whatever is happening in the Middle East, Honorable Speaker. And all these temptations are there, but I would really plead with us, even at the global stage, to call for restraint and call for the peaceful coexistence of people from all races, all religions, so that we live peaceably together, Honorable Speaker. And I would really want to plead with the people of Lamu. I would really want to plead with the people of Lamu, Honorable Speaker. Because the CES has already released a list and even offered cash reward. And that tells you the commitment by the Ministry of Interior to deal with this problem in Lamu and in the northern parts of Kenya. Those who may be harboring criminals, those who may have knowledge of where these criminals are hiding, whether it's in the Boni Forest or on the frontier districts of our country bordering Somalia, please let us volunteer to avail information to our security agencies to be able to deal with this problem of terrorists and criminality. But in conclusion, Honorable Speaker, I plead with all of us, Honorable Speaker, to exercise restraint, especially with our public pronouncements. It is very tempting to say insightful things because they augur well with the majority of the people who probably vote for you. But what augurs with, or what will be very good for the public gallery, tomorrow may be very dangerous even to your own family and to yourself, and therefore we must always exercise restraint as leaders, because, Honorable Speaker, as I say, those who are given more is demanded from them. And because we have been given that honored responsibility of being members of parliament, being leaders in our country, let us know that God has given us a higher responsibility to exercise restraint with what we say, how we engage even with members of our own communities and those also who are not from our communities. And with that, Honorable Speaker, I would really beg that we allow the Ministry of Interior to deal with criminals as criminals, to deal with terrorists as terrorists, irrespective of who those terrorists are. In fact, Honorable Speaker, 10 years ago, the notion was that every terrorist is a Muslim. Today is not the case, Honorable Speaker. We have seen many Christians being lured into terrorism and becoming actually more vicious. And we have seen it, Honorable Speaker, the people who attacked Dusit. You saw some of them were said to have been harbored in my own county in Kiambu, in Ruaka, in Kiamba constituency. It would never have been imagined that terrorists would be in Ruaka, in Kiambu County. It is a reality that we are living with today, and we must, as leaders, desist from falling into the hands and machinations of the terrorists and criminals who would want to come and divide us along our ethnicities.
Thank you. Honorable members, I want to close this here, and I want to encourage you. When there is a problem, don't look for who to blame, look for a solution. And you carry enormous responsibility as representatives of the people. Whatever you say is never in jest, it is taken seriously. There was a case in the Republic of Uganda where a chief stood at a market, denounced cattle rustlers, and said, "Kill them, I'll answer for it." Wananchi went and arrested 10 people and killed them. So whatever we say is very, very critical. I want to urge you, those of you who can remember the attack in Uganda during the World Cup, and everybody thought these were Muslim Somali terrorists. When the government of Uganda arrested the attackers, one was from the Luya nation, one was from the Luo nation, one was from the Kikuyu nation, one was from the Somali nation, all from Kenya. So let's not profile any communities. Criminals have no color, have got no ethnicity, have no religion. They are pure and simple criminals. And let's support our illustrious Minister for Interior, who has been crisscrossing the country, battling criminal gangs and criminal formations to make our country safe. The lady member of parliament from Lamu, you wanted to say something, but I want to encourage you to keep your cool. We don't have a ping pong between you and your colleague from Lamu East. Many people have spoken to this matter. I looked at the Hansard on what you said, and at an appropriate time, I'll invite you to counsel you on many issues. Honorable members, let's leave it here. The young member of parliament is on a learning curve. That was her maiden speech. If there was any misstep, we forgive her and encourage her to be more careful in future. And I want to encourage the veterans. I told you, veterans, try and mentor your young colleagues. And also, young colleagues, go to the library and read speeches of great debaters in these houses. They'll be able to help you. Next order.
Order number 8, the Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 2 of 2023, second reading. Question to be put.
Order, honorable members. I'll now put the question at order number 8, which is that the Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 2 of 2023, be now read a second time. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Statutory Instruments Act 2013 and for connected purposes. Order number 9.
Before the next order, allow me to acknowledge in the Speaker's gallery Egerton University Students Association leaders from Matungu constituency in Kakamega. On my behalf and your behalf, honorable members, I welcome to the House of Parliament. Next order.
Order number 9, motion, the East African Community Multilateral Agreement on Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigations. Question to be put.
Honorable members, I'll now put the question at order number 9, which is that this House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure on its consideration of the East African Community Multilateral Agreement on Aircraft Accidents and Incident Investigations, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 17th August 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 8.4 of the Treaty Making and Ratification Act 2012, approves the ratification of the East African Community Multilateral Agreement on Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigations. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. As members of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 10, the Universities Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Universities Act.
Thank you.
Order number 11.
Hold on, clerk. Honorable members, I want to rearrange the order paper a little. I have been advised by my deputy, the Deputy Speaker, that the bill at order number 12 was almost concluded, and we need just 1 or 2 members and close the second reading. So instead of opening up, was it replied to? So we'll invite, if there are no contributors at order number 12, I want you to call order number 12. We have the mover reply, then we go to order number 11 for the majority leader to move the fresh bill.
Order number 12, the Kenya Drugs Authority Bill, National Assembly Bill number 54 of 2022, second reading.
Was any member on the floor? Who? Bed Simba, is he in the house? There being no further interest, I'll call upon the mover to reply.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the members for having contributed to this bill and the sentiments which were put forward based on the public participation report in terms of amending certain sections where members talked about the difference between pharmacists and pharmaceutical technologists, the issues about drugs, that if both the veterinary drugs and the human medicines being under the pharmacy, under the Kenya Drugs Authority, because drugs basically are molecularly the same, whether for animals or human, and we need to have them controlled. I think those are good amendments that the committee is going to consider during the committee of the whole House. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply. Yes.
All the honorable members, I'm satisfied that there's quorum to warrant the question to be put. And I now put the question that the Kenya Drugs Authority Bill, National Assembly Bill number 54 of 2022, be now read the second time. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to establish the Kenya Drugs Authority to provide for the regulation and management of drugs and chemical substances, to provide for the regulation of medical devices and other health technologies, to give effect to the principles and objects of devolved government in drug safety regulation and for connected purposes.
Thank you. Next order. Go back to order number 11.
Order number 11, the Insurance Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 18 of 2023, second reading.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move that the Insurance Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 18 of 2023, be now read a second time. Honorable Speaker, this bill is a very short bill with just about 5 clauses, some of which are cleanups of the Insurance Act as it is, with the first one on Section 40 of the Insurance Act being amended to delete a proviso in subsection 1 that had created some conflict in the law, because Section 32 of the Act provides for a minimum of 5% of 5 million shillings to be held by insurance companies with the Central Bank of Kenya, while the Section 41 that we are deleting had provided for 3 million shillings, and therefore the bill is proposing to delete that, to just have clarity that you now hold 5 million shillings or at least 5% of the total assets of an insurance company. And that, Honorable Speaker, is to just give assurance to members of the public who are insured by insurance companies that at least there's some money that is being held by those insurance companies as a percentage of their total assets with the Central Bank of Kenya, so that when you invest in an insurance company, in terms of being an insured person, or you have invested in an insurance product, investment product, you are certain, just like with the banking sector, that there are deposits that are held by the insurance companies with the Central Bank of Kenya to compensate you should there be a problem with the running of that insurance company. 2, Honorable Speaker, is the insertion of a new Section 67H, which is basically creating penalties. And as much as, Honorable Speaker, as the bill reads, that any shareholder, director, principal officer or management staff of an insurer who commits certain offenses, either by failing to take all reasonable steps to secure the compliance of a registered or licensed person with the Insurance Act, or fails to take any reasonable steps to secure the accuracy and correctness of any statement or report submitted under the Insurance Act to the Insurance Regulatory Authority, will have committed an offense, amongst many other offenses that are stipulated there, Honorable Speaker, is creating offenses under that subsection to have a person who commits all those offenses that are listed in the bill, Honorable Speaker, and I'm avoiding to read the offenses, to, as a first offender, to a penalty of a fine not exceeding 5 million shillings or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years, and for repeat offenders to a fine not exceeding 10 million shillings or imprisonment of a term not exceeding 5 years, and in the case of a company, to a fine not exceeding 30 million shillings. Honorable Speaker, this is to act as a deterrent, especially to insurance companies. And the reason, Honorable Speaker, I read the first bit that says any shareholder, director, principal officer, or management staff of an insurance company or an insurer who commits those offenses will be liable to a criminal offense and be surcharged. Honorable Speaker, the reason I was pointing that is because I just had an engagement with the chair of the Finance Committee who considered this bill, that during the third reading we may need to amend that term, any shareholder, to remove a shareholder, because a shareholder may not necessarily be culpable in the running of any company. There are insurance companies that are already listed with our Nairobi Stock Exchange, and many Kenyans could be shareholders holding insignificant shareholding in that company, and therefore are not necessarily involved in the day-to-day running and management of the insurance company. Therefore, if the insurance company were to fail on any of the issues that are listed here, either to make correct statements or to take reasonable steps to secure compliance with the Insurance Act, a shareholder who is just holding shares and is not involved in the day-to-day running of the company may be found liable and therefore be imprisoned or fined 5 million shillings, yet they had nothing to do. Therefore, we have agreed with the chair of the committee during the third reading and committee of the whole. That is one of the areas we would be seeking to amend, so that we remove the term any shareholder and leave it to be any director, principal officer, or management staff, because these are the people who are charged with the responsibility of managing the company, and therefore if they fail to comply with the Insurance Act, then they are liable to an offense. If they make false statements or false reports to the Insurance Regulatory Authority, then it should be the management, the principal officer, and management staff of the insurance company will be held liable. Or if they fail without any justification to settle a judgment or any claim under the Insurance Act, then they'll be held liable. Honorable Speaker, it's important for these penalties and deterrent measures to be there in law, because as it stands today, Honorable Speaker, insurers, their management, their staff punish many Kenyans. You pay premiums, you get into an accident or incur a loss, and the insurance company doesn't compensate you, knowing nothing will happen to them under the Act. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, part of the measures that are being put under this new clause 67H is to make sure that if without any lawful justification, an insurer fails to settle a claim or settle a judgment in court, then they will be liable to having committed an offense and be subjected to the penalties and fines that I have stipulated. Honorable Speaker, the other section 70 is just a cleanup, and the same with section 150 on the issue of insurance surveyors, just cleanup of the wordings in the Insurance Act, deleting the word surveyor and substituting with the word insurance surveyors, and the word insurance surveyors are actually professionals under the Insurance Act, defined under the Act. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, as I said, this is a very short bill, and I would really beg that we all support it. Again, Honorable Speaker, to ensure that the insured or the clientele of our insurance companies are first assured that their money is safe within the insurance companies, whether it is money they're investing in insurance products, investment products, in the money market, Honorable Speaker, or whether it is money they have paid to insurance companies as premiums to secure their assets at a time of loss, that those assets are indeed secured. And Honorable Speaker, to also ensure that the running and management of insurance companies is professional enough, Honorable Speaker, that there is not an insurance manager, principal officer, or any person working with an insurance company who will make false reports to the Insurance Regulatory Authority, because IRA, Honorable Speaker, is charged with that responsibility of regulating our insurance companies and making sure that they are submitting reports that reflect the actual financial status and financial health of the insurance companies, so that when members of the public are insuring with them and paying premiums, they are certain that when they incur losses, those insurance companies will be in the financial status to be able to settle their claims. Honorable Speaker, let me not say much because, as I said, it is only a 5-clause bill, and there is really nothing much to say other than to plead that we support this bill to ensure that our insurance companies are healthy financially, that they are making reports to the insurance regulatory authorities and the Commissioner of Insurance, Honorable Speaker, in time and accurate reports that will ensure that the regulatory agencies and authorities are able to ascertain that all the licensed insurers are financially healthy and capable of insuring the public. Because as leaders and as a speaker, representatives of the people who are insuring with these companies, we owe them a fiduciary duty also, just like the managers and directors of insurance companies owe the public a fiduciary responsibility to ensure that when they put their money in these companies, their money is secure and they will be in a position to compensate them should there be any loss, Honorable Speaker, to the insured. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request the chair of the Finance Committee, who has done a very good job together with the Finance Committee in considering this bill in record time and availing a report that they tabled the other week, Honorable Speaker. I commend them, and especially the chair for his continued diligence in considering all bills that come to the House touching on the insurance and finance sector. And I must commend the chair, the Finance Committee, for the good work that they continue to do on behalf of the people of Kenya. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move and request Honorable Kimani to second.
Thank you. Before Honorable Kimani, one of the lady sergeant at arms could kindly come to my table. May proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Insurance Amendment Bill of 2023 be read a second time. I beg to second that the Insurance Amendment Bill of 2023 be now read a second time. Honorable Speaker, the Insurance Amendment Bill of 2023, National Bill number 18, is sponsored by the leader of the majority party, my senior, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, a distinguished member of parliament for the great people of Kikuyu. It was published on the 12th of May 2023. It was read at a first time on the 25th of July 2023 and was committed to the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning pursuant to Standing Order 127. Honorable Speaker, the bill was submitted by the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury as part of the proposals for the budget of 2023-2024. The objects of the bill, Honorable Speaker, is to enhance accountability within the insurance companies and observance of fiduciary duties, as well as professional responsibility by senior managers of insurance companies by amending the Insurance Act, Cap 487, to provide for offenses and penalties relating to the management of insurance companies. Honorable Speaker, the bill seeks to ensure that the insurance companies take responsibility in case an insurance company fails. Further, the bill seeks to correct some errors that were there in the bill. Honorable Speaker, the committee received the bill pursuant to Article 118 of the Constitution and Standing Order 127.3, and the committee called for members of the public to submit their memoranda through adverts placed on print media on the 8th of July. Honorable Speaker, we received memoranda from the Association of Kenya Insurance, the Association of Insurance Brokers, PricewaterhouseCoopers, the Institute of Certified Public Accountants Kenya, and the Insurance Regulatory Authority. The committee, Honorable Speaker, held these stakeholder hearings on Wednesday, the 30th of August 2023 in Parliament buildings, where we also received oral submissions. Honorable Speaker, in compliance with the constitutional requirements of public participation, the committee took into consideration the representations received on the bill. We appreciate all the stakeholders that took their time to submit their memoranda to the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning, which we took time to read and adopt some of them in our report. Honorable Speaker, the Insurance Act was enacted in the 1980s, and since then it has been amended a record 38 times over the years. There is therefore an urgent need to comprehensively review and perhaps reveal the Act to be in tandem with the current industry requirements. But in the meantime, Honorable Speaker, the bill, though a piecemeal one, will go a long way in protecting the insured citizens from shareholders, directors, and principal officers or management staffs of insurers, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we are also considering at the same time the Insurance Professionals Bill. and hopefully we'll be able to table that report very soon in this House, Honorable Speaker. And this bill hopes to regulate the way the professionals in the insurance sector carry on business. If you check every profession in this country, whether it is the lawyers, they are regulated by the Law Society of Kenya. If you're a practicing accountant like myself, you have to not just sit for the CPA exams, but you also be in good standing with the Institute of Certified Public Accountants. The doctors have their organization, the engineers have the engineering board, but you find this very, very critical sector of insurance has no regulator in terms of the work of those people who carry on the profession of insurance, Honorable Speaker. And these have led to Kenyans losing billions and billions of shillings through fraudulent and shrewd insurance practitioners, Honorable Speaker. And unfortunately, there's no reprieve to where you, apart from criminal proceedings, there's no reprieve to where these professionals can be reported for professional action to be taken against these people. And if you check, Honorable Speaker, you realize that the people that ran down one insurance company just quickly regroup, go to another one, then run it down. If you check, Honorable Speaker, even on the street you ask, there are people who are professionals, whether you want your car to be written off. You know, there are people who carry on that fraudulent activities, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, the feel of the committee and the sector, because this is after extensive deliberation of the sector, there is need to have an insurance professionals bill so that we can regulate the way these professionals carry on their activities. Honorable Speaker, if we have ISPAC that regulates those people that take care of our books of accounts, you know, our audit and accounting, then what about those people that take care of insurance policies, for example, the life insurance policies that we take? The many years of hard work that makes us get a mortgage and buy a home, and then we insure that home, hoping that in the event of the insured risk happening, then we'll be able to go back to the situation we were before the accident, what the insurance term we call indemnity. And so if we have these regulations on all this sector, why not the insurance professionals sector, Honorable Speaker? And with those a few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to second.
Thank you. Honorable members, I now propose the question. No, sorry, I now propose the question, yes, that the Insurance Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 18 of 2023, be read a second time. Honorable members who want to contribute to this debate, kindly put the intervention button. The Honorable Dr. Makale Mulu, member for Kitui Central.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to support this bill, the Insurance Act Amendment Bill. Honorable Speaker, as the mover and the second have said, it is expected to provide an accountability framework for the insurance companies.
The volume is very low. I can hardly hear Honorable Makali.
Yeah, I'm saying it's supposed to provide an accountability framework for the insurance companies. Honorable Speaker, we all know this sector called the insurance sector is a very complicated sector for the lay person. Why am I saying that, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, you find most of us, we have actually insured our lives, we have insured our properties, some have taken medical insurance, some have taken other different types of insurance. And you realize that when the companies are selling their policies, either through brokers or through whatever agencies they are using, they use very, very attractive language which really convinces you, convincing language, so that you buy that policy. But when it comes to the time of paying out the claims, Honorable Speaker, Kenyans go through hell to access part of this money. And even at times, they never access the money, even where they're supposed to be paid. So when we have this bill, which proposes to amend some sections so that these companies become more accountable to Kenyans, become more accountable to the regulatory authority. It is a bill worth supporting, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have the Insurance Regulatory Authority, which is an authority which really regulates this sector. And so far, they have been doing a good job. There are also other regulatory bodies in the sector. And I think it is important when we have a legal framework which in a very clear way stipulates what is to be done by which company, when. So, for example, where they are expected to prepare reports and submit to the regulatory authority, it is good when we have that framework which says by what date and what is the format of that report, so that the government can also regulate this important sector. And at the end of the day, that the beneficiaries of this sector, when the time for getting their claims paid comes, that they are paid without unnecessary delay. The other important point, Honorable Speaker, is that this is a sector where you also have very many brokers. And as the Chair of Finance has said, in a situation where you expect professionals to do professional job, and you have very many brokers, there is a likelihood to get people who are not even professionals coming to this sector. And it is important that bill is mentioning the insurance professionals bill. We need to get it to this house so that we also streamline the area of the professionals, so that we have people who are trained on these matters being key players in this sector. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, we'll have a sector which is confused, a sector where Kenyans are paying a lot of money, and a sector where Kenyans are not able to get their benefits, more so through claims, when the time for claims comes. And that's why I want to support this bill, and Honorable Speaker say, really, I want to urge my colleagues also to support so that we get this bill through and we get this sector being accountable to the Kenyans. I support, Honorable Speaker, and thank you for the opportunity.
The Honorable Member for Tetu, Honorable Geoffrey Mwangi. He's not here. The Honorable David Boni, Member for Kituis Rural.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Also to support this amendment on Insurance Bill Act. Madam Speaker, I think we all know that this sector is very important to the economy because there are around 58 insurance companies and brokerage firms which actually employ a substantial number of people. So the sector is very important, and it has a turnover of around 240 billion annually. It contributes around 2.6% of GDP, and is actually one of the major tax revenue contributor in this country. However, the insurance penetration rate in this country still remains very low, at around 3%, because of challenges which our colleagues have mentioned. And one of the challenges is lack of trust. A lot of people don't even trust insurance companies because basically when you get you contribute to a policy, when it comes to the time the policy expires and you are claiming your money back, the insurance companies always bring issues, and at the end of the day, you realize that you may not get your money back. And that's one of the challenges and one of the reasons why a lot of people don't really enroll in insurance, don't get insurance policies. And you realize that most of the policies people take are the ones which are actually compulsory, like car insurances and other insurances. Madam Speaker, there's also a lot of competition. I've actually already mentioned that there are 58 company operators in the whatever. So this competition also makes really is a big challenge to some of the especially the young ones, which cannot really match the big ones. And you realize that most of the insurance, the big ones, really don't actually belong to this country. They are multinationals with a lot of capital base. There's a lot of mismanagement in some of these companies, and in fact that's why most of them collapses, and most of them cannot be able to pay their the people who have contributed policy orders. As mentioned, there's no professional body governing insurance staff or insurance professionals. Under last parliament, there was a bill which was proposing to set up insurance professionals. And I think it's very important, really, we come up with this bill so that at least the way accountants operate, we have a body which can really govern the profession so that we don't lose our monies. I really like the proposed penalties, but as Majority Leader said, the shareholders, I don't know how shareholders will be held responsible for mismanagement of the company. So, and I think that's a very good proposal if that shareholding amendment to this proposed bill can remove the word shareholders. So with those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I support. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kwanza, Honorable Ferdinand Wanyonyi. What's your point of order, Honorable Wanjiko Muya?
Honorable Speaker, I'm standing on a point of order regarding this order of business today, which has a motion number 22 on inspection of various one-stop border posts in the Northern Corridor in East African Community Region. And my point of order, Honorable Speaker, is that this motion was laid on the House on 5th of July. 3 months down the line, it has been appearing as order number 13, order number 14, order number 15, and I've been staying here in the House waiting to proceed with this report. And I think it is even being overtaken by the events, because even the Cabinet Secretary for Interior has already directed that on 1st of November he will be removing all the roadblocks in the country, and this is the report which has that event. So, Honorable Speaker, I'm requesting your powers if you could ask the House Business Committee or any relevant avenue to fast-track this report.
That's duly noted. I think Honorable Muya, even if you approached the clerk, they would inform the House Business Committee. But do you want it rearranged today, or you want it for a later date? Because the practice is members approach and explain that the matter has been pending for long. So do you want it reordered for today or next week?
If it is practical for today, it's in order, Madam Speaker.
I think because we just started the debate on this particular one, which is going to take a couple of hours, so maybe we can ensure that it's prioritized in the next order paper next week. Thank you. You may proceed, Honorable Ferdinand Wanyonyi, Member for Kwanza.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I rise in support of this this bill number 18, by the leader, the majority in Parliament. Madam Speaker, each one of us, if you asked, each one of us has had one problem or the other in terms of insurance. I think this particular bill, hopefully, as we pass it, it will be able to clear some of the problems we've had with insurance companies. Madam Speaker, a very simple case is where one has, for example, insured the vehicle or vehicles, and when the vehicle is actually involved or it has a problem, and you do go out and maybe repair the vehicle, what have you, or write it off and want to get a replacement, Madam Speaker, you'll find that there's a problem. The insurance will take you round and round and round until you give up. So, Madam Speaker, I think the insurance authority should come out very clear so they can be able to have rules and regulations to be able to at least be able to help the insurance companies settle some of the claims. To the extent even health insurance, Madam Speaker, you find again, we have a problem with even health insurance companies. Most of us, but the other time, I pay so much insurance premium for my health, and you'll find that they are not able to cover some of this. So I think this particular bill, hopefully, will be able to assist us clear some of the problems we've had with insurances. Therefore, it's very timely that the leader of the majority has come up with this particular bill to be able to clean it up so that can be able to have insurance companies running at least. Of course, as you know, some of this is just a landing where anybody who wants to make some money, you find crooks actually own the insurance companies. We've had cases where you find you don't know the owners of some of the insurance companies. Some of them operate for 2-3 years and disappear from the market. So this particular bill, hopefully, will be able to assist us clean some of the messes we have had in the past, and more particularly, when you go to have insurance cover, be able to know, yes, you are going to do for the insurance cover, but you should be able to know who are the directors, so can be able to access the directors in case there's a problem. For example, the case in mind is where we had some buildings being crashed and what have you. I can tell you that you will see people running and crying all over the place because although the insurance, they've taken insurance for their buildings and the claim will not be settled. And they will ask you so many questions and some of the demands are not even natural. Some of them are far-fetched. And therefore I think, to say the least, this particular bill will be able to clear some of the problems that we had in the past, and hopefully the leader or the majority will be able to help us have this insurance coming and passed so they can be able to clear some of the problems. Otherwise, I support this bill, and I hope it goes through so can be able to have proper insurance companies in this country. I support Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Dagoretti North, Honourable Beatrice Ilachi. All those members who want to contribute to this debate, press the intervention button so I can differentiate you from the others who are there. I know we have coming up is Honourable Oundo, Honourable Mbulanya of Nambale, Honourable Timothy Toroitich, and Honourable Charles Ngusia, in that order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also rise
and
to
Honourable Timothy Wanyonyi of Westlands, I've seen you.
Rise to support, and Madam Speaker, this is one sector that we know that has a lot of challenges. First, in terms of Kenyans understanding this sector. I think 90% or 80% of Kenyans have always feared to engage with insurance because they feel sometimes that when you look at it, you'll never trust those who deal with insurance, those who are selling. They will never understand who is a broker and who are the main insurers. And therefore, Madam Speaker, even as we look at the sector, and I want to appreciate the majority leader in coming in now to create more awareness in terms of how we deal with our insurance sector. Madam Speaker, the other thing is that excessive costs of investigations. Many a times you find you'll go through. We have a case just recently, Madam Speaker. 2 young people had an accident of a boda. And when the case was over, they were awarded, yes, the insurance, but now you find also the lawyers just run away with the monies of their clients. And it has become an issue where that is why Kenyans lack trust in this sector. The other thing, Madam Speaker, is that weak manpower that many of us are trying to see. And so you find many people selling the insurance, yes. But sometimes when you walk into their offices, you also find yourself questioning a lot of questions, because it's only the big insurance companies that are doing very well. But you find bodabodas will rely more on the small companies and the third parties that we normally see, Madam Speaker. And therefore, if there is one sector that we would wish this act to come and now enhance and ensure there's accountability and transparent, is the sector of boda, where many of them are even unable to take that insurance, and therefore they just ride their motorbikes with no insurance, and then when they are found into challenges is when they realize they need, or when they find themselves, and many of them in accidents, is when you find now honorable members being requested by the same boda riders to assist to see whether they can get these insurances. Madam Speaker, the other thing is delays in claims and settlements. This is also a matter that many people in the insurance industry feel sometimes should change. That it takes a long time, and that is why even if the sector would have thrived, Madam Speaker, you'll always find that many people will wonder, if I put money for education, for example, Madam Speaker, you put money for education, you are told 14 years, 15 years, it's when it is maturing so that you start the first principle. And many people now, with this high cost of living, Madam Speaker, I know many of them now have left in terms of savings, and you find now the insurance company will start now again deducting the principal, and you find in the end, the whole insurance that you had paid for 10 years just goes like that. So even as we are looking at this, I'm hoping that we can ensure that going forward, if someone has given in he or her resources to an insurance company, for example, for an education fund of her children, and at one point they reach at a time and they realize they have no resources to continue, there must be a way where that money, Madam Speaker, is saved, and so that you don't lose completely, but you are able to gain something, and the insurance will remain with something small. The other thing we have to look, and which is very serious, is the mortgage. And many Kenyans are going through that mortgage, Madam Speaker. And for now, I can imagine, with the state we are in now, many would go and would wish, if it is a bank where you've taken a loan, it is easier to go and sit and restructure. But sometimes insurance companies don't even allow you to restructure. They won't even listen. So they start piling up the principal, and you find yourself with a lot of penalties. And in the end of the day, you just give up. And now that's how many insurance companies have had monies of Kenyans, and they are able to just take, because this Kenyan decides to just leave the insurance and decide now the money will just go, and that's it. So, Madam Speaker, this is one bill that we need to pass. First, to regulate the sector. Secondly, to start now ensuring that we follow what the new constitution, what our 2010 constitution says. Any sector in this country that is getting money from any citizens, there must be a component of public participation, Madam Speaker. That you are able to go out there, create awareness, how you'll be running your institution, let Kenyans understand, especially the insurances that we take, especially in government and all those sectors, especially if there's insurance government is taking, then there must be public participation for citizens to be aware of what will happen if I am unable to pay my insurance in time, what penalties are there, and if anything happens to me, what happens then if I have my insurance and I'm not able, I'm incapacitated to pay. So, Madam Speaker, as I finalize, that financial reporting, which is very critical, must be put in place. And we must see now reports that come out that are very clear, even in our own insurance here, Madam Speaker, When you look at our health insurance in Bunge, it is important once in a year to just receive a report how we are doing, how that insurance is doing, so that you don't find yourself now at a point you don't know whether the insurance is suffering the way the industry is also with a lot of constraints. And then you find when people are going for health, there's a lot of back and forth, but they are not telling you that we are facing some constraints, but they now start ensuring the clients are the ones who will carry the burden. So as I finalize, Madam Speaker, I just want to appreciate the majority leader and to say that it is important for us to really look at this sector of transport of boda and to ensure our boda riders are able to get insurances, because these insurances will assist the clients that they carry, but at the same time safeguard their own lives. With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I support.
The Honourable Member for Westlands Constituency, Honourable Timothy Wanyonyi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also want to speak on this amendment bill. Madam Speaker, many times, especially the public transport sector is the biggest culprit when it comes to insurance matters. When I was a young lawyer, Madam Speaker, there was an insurance company by the name Access Insurance Company, Madam Speaker. And some of these companies, they've come in existence just for speculation, and are not interested in covering people, the businesses of people. But they collect money from these unsuspecting business people, Madam Speaker. So making these senior managers of insurance companies responsible for their professional activities, Madam Speaker, is very critical, and it will bring order in this sector. Madam Speaker, I just want to echo the sentiments that were said by the majority leader, that business is not about speculation. People come in business, Mr. Speaker, because they want to make a living out of it. They want to grow the economy, Madam Speaker, and manage in jurisdictions outside of this country, Mr. Speaker. Many businesses thrive because of the strength and the strong foundation of insurance companies. Almost every other citizen, Madam Speaker, is insured. And that is the way we should go, Madam Speaker, that we should be covered by insurance companies, insurance cover, so that people, even those who seek medical insurance, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, they should always know that they are covered by insurance company. We have had people who have taken medical covers, and then when it comes to even we call for medical checkup, they can't even take responsibility. They deny you access to that facility, and this is something that we must now bring to order so that citizens can enjoy and have confidence when they take insurance covers. And especially in the transport sector, matatus and the bodas, most of them just go around without insurance covers because most insurance companies have refused to cover them. And this is because they imagine that this is a very reckless sector of business, that if they put them in the insurance, Mr. Speaker, it will bring a lot of risks in the business. So it is a good amendment as we bring this to order, Mr. Speaker, that insurance companies, the management of insurance companies will take responsibility for their businesses, because they cannot collect money from Kenya, from businesses, and then they let them collapse. So it is good. And also sometimes when that convincing businesses to take insurance, they don't tell them the whole story about insurance. They'll tell you half of it and give you very complicated literature that you cannot even read. So on the ordinary person, Mr. Speaker, may not understand the nitty-gritties that are hidden in that insurance cover. Only when you come to lay a claim for compensation, then you'll be told that a particular clause that was there was not. You must observe it. If you don't, then the insurance company will not pay you, or they ask you to pay up some money before they process your compensation. So this is something that we need also. They must take responsibility that when they're somebody is taking insurance cover, must be given a due diligence, understand what he's signing and what the cover that they are taking. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I beg to support this amendment.
The MP for Marakwet West, Toroitich.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute on this very important and progressive amendment to the Insurance Act. Honorable Speaker, the insurance business in Kenya has not been taken seriously. Many people have opened briefcase companies to run as insurance companies, and many Kenyans have been duped. And I believe that this progressive amendment will be able to settle the matters that have come up in the insurance industry and has affected many Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, in Kenya, especially on matters involving transport, many matters in court have judgments have been rendered in a courts of law involving road traffic accidents. But, Honorable Speaker, when it comes to compensation of individuals who are involved in traffic accidents, you find that a judgment has been entered by a court of law, but thereafter that particular claim is not paid by an insurance company. Honorable Speaker, this person has been paying premiums to that particular insurance company. So we have what you call paper judgments in our courts of law. We have judgments that cannot be executed by the insurance companies. So, Honorable Speaker, I believe that since this amendment has been brought before the floor of the House, and the amendment has proposed that in the event that an insurance company is not able to settle a certain claim, then a penalty has been set forth for that particular insurer who has not paid a particular individual. So, Honorable Speaker, I support this particular amendment, and I believe that it will go a long way into addressing the issues to do with compensation by insurance companies. Honorable Speaker, it is unfortunate that someone has been injured in a road traffic accident. That particular person approaches an advocate, files a claim before a competent court of law, the court enters a judgment, and then when it comes to the payment of that particular judgment, the execution of that particular judgment, then it is not executable. So, Honorable Speaker, in fact, in my opinion, the penalty that has been placed on the insurer is quite less. In my opinion, the same should be increased. The penalty should be made stiff so that any briefcase company that purports to run an insurance company and does not have enough money to pay to compensate that particular judgment or to compensate that particular individual, then the penalty should be higher than what has been proposed in this particular legislation. Honorable Speaker, I propose when it comes to the second reading, I'll propose that the minimum penalty that insurer should pay should be not less than 10 million or imprisonment for not less than 10 years, so that nobody will be able to run a previous company because we have a weak regulator in this country. Honorable Speaker, the insurance regulatory authority in this country, in my opinion, is quite weak. It must be strengthened, and I've seen the amendment is not enough to be able to strengthen that particular authority. So, Honorable Speaker, I support this amendment, and I pray that this House passes the same. Thank you.
Yes, the honorable member for Mwingi West, Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to this bill. Mr. Speaker, you have caught me by surprise. I was waiting for the Millie's bill, but anyway, let me add a voice to these amendments. Mr. Speaker, we note with concern that all Kenyans across the divided needs insurance companies in one way or another to cushion us from risk, different risk, and even to encourage a way of savings and among many other reasons. However, Mr. Speaker, I note with concern that a lot of insurance companies in Kenya have defrauded Kenyans, even shortchanged them when they are putting up their claims during the accidents or many other things that are warranted to be claimed, Mr. Speaker. We also note that some of the insurance companies which have insured us recently, some of them collapsed, including the one recently, Blue Shield Insurance Companies. Mr. Speaker, it is why this afternoon we are bringing up this amendment. And let me thank the finance chair, my friend, Mr. Kimani, for bringing up this amendment, because I believe it is going to cure some of these things challenges we have been facing in insurance sector. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm saying this amendment is going to cure a lot of issues we have been facing in the insurance, especially some of them which have just insured Kenyans and they end up collapsing and Kenyans losing millions of shillings. And we will have also create what we call awareness of the insurance, because I note with concern there's low uptake of insurance, actually low penetration of insurance in this country. And by doing so, we are going to increase the confidence with our Kenyans, and they will end up taking more insurance covers. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I support. Thank you.
The Honorable Rachel Nyamai, proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. First of all, I would like to thank the Majority Leader and also the committee for the way they have moved this bill, and also the explanation that they have given, which clearly indicates the importance of this bill. Honorable Speaker, I have also taken time to look at the bill, and though it may look very short, it is extremely important because it brings accountability within the insurance sector, and it ensures that there is taking of responsibility within this profession. So I would like from the onset to state that I support this bill. Honorable Speaker, when insurance companies and the brokers that work for them, when they sell these insurance policies to Kenyans, they do it so well. They use very well-trained salesmen and saleswomen, very good-looking men and women, and they are very easy to convince people to buy insurance. The problem comes when a person now gets into trouble. Let's say you have been involved in an accident. Let's say your house catches fire, or someone has passed on and they had life cover. Then you realize that the cover that was bought, the person who may have purchased it may not even know the exact insurance company to go to, because they may have used a broker. And then it becomes very difficult to reach to the broker so that you can reach to the insurance company itself. So I would like to say that I have looked at the most important clause, which is some clauses that have been inserted to ensure that the commissioner can ask for information about a certain insurance company or a brokerage firm later to get into the company itself for responsibility for making payment. That the authority will ensure that reports that are presented are accurate, so that we do not have insurance companies which pretend to be big, making billions in profit, but when you go to the reality of their books, how much they are making, you realize that they may not be making that much. And then this happens when there are many people making claims which may not be honored. Honorable Speaker, also making sure that documents that are presented are clearly justified, and that the shareholders of these companies are held accountable, so that they do not say that it is this brokerage company, but not the insurance itself. So, Honorable Speaker, I would like to support this bill and thank the committee for ensuring that Kenyans are protected, because most Kenyans who purchase these policies may not be well educated. Even if someone is well educated, like Honorable Speaker, like yourself or myself, we may not have the language that is used by people in this sector. So this bill, when passed to become law, when these amendments pass, then all of us will be protected in one way or another. Mr. Speaker, also, I would like to say that it might be very important to also talk about cost of insurance, because we have so many young people driving border in this country, some of them who are taking group covers. Some of them may not even understand how to follow up on these group covers, so that they are properly educated or properly trained or told what these group covers are all about, so that they are able to follow up when they fall victim, especially of accidents. Honorable Speaker, health insurance and education covers, they take quite a long time. Some of them, especially education covers. You realize that a person may take a cover for a child who is, for example, in class 1, and then it matures when a child has reached class 8, for example. So many things can happen in between. And then the person who has purchased the cover may just continue paying and paying without having a way of getting feedback on how these institutions are doing. So this bill is going to assist people, especially those who have taken life insurance or education covers for their children, to ensure that they are given proper information and that our people are supported. Honorable Speaker, if we rely on the good stories that we get from insurance covers, insurance companies and brokerage companies, we are likely to be exposed to losses. So this bill, let the Commission, let the authority take charge so that our citizens are covered. Honorable Speaker, the interface between the insurance company and the brokerage company needs also to be very clear, so that our people are taken care. Group covers to be properly explained, so that the individuals in those groups have information on how to deal when a time for need comes. So, Honorable Speaker, with those remarks, I do support this bill, and especially for the new introduction of the amendments that have been brought by the committee to ensure that insurance companies are responsible and that Kenyans do not suffer many losses for institutions that they have spent money for, and people do this so that their families can benefit or that they can be compensated in case of losses. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Eve Obara. Eve Obara.
Thank you very
Member
much.
for Kasipul Kabondo? Or
It's Kabondo Kasipul.
Is it the same old thing used to be Kasipul Kabondo when I was there in the 7th Parliament?
Yes, Mr.
Or
Speaker.
you have interchanged the names?
Mr. Speaker, it used to be Kasipul Kabondo.
Now it's Kabondo Kasipul.
After the 2010 Constitution, it became Kabondo Kasipul, and there is Kasipul.
Thank you.
So there are two.
Proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I too stand. Thank you very much for the opportunity to also add my voice to this amendment. Mr. Speaker, I support the amendment. All of us understand what insurance is all about, and when we take it, we expect that it reduces the impact of loss. Mr. Speaker, it also provides monetary reimbursement during crisis. But the reality on the ground for many of us is that there are companies appear to be big and are able to reimburse when we lose. It does not happen in that manner. For the simple reason, Mr. Speaker, that the books are usually doctored. What appears to be their turnover is usually not the case, And that is why many of the Kenyans have lost money when they had crisis in companies, crisis in the insurance, in the insurances for their vehicles, losses when their property got burnt down, and we've seen many of us, I too, have also been a victim of the circumstances. Mr. Speaker, we have the Insurance Regulatory Authority, and if they were to do their work in the manner that they're supposed to, a lot of these things would not be happening. We have the RBA for the pension schemes. Why is it that some companies are not able to pay for their pension schemes? And therefore, I agree with the committee that the amendment to come up with a penalty to be instituted against companies that do not honor their claims should be in place. But at the same time, Mr. Speaker, I really think that we are over-regulating some of these companies. I believe that if the regulatory authorities are able to do their work, we would not be getting into all these complications and problems and coming up with all manner of regulations. Thank you very much. Once again, I support, but I emphasize that the regulatory authorities must do their work for which they were created. Thank you very much.
Maya, proceed, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to speak to this very important bill. I support the amendment because the amendment will ensure that insurance companies take full responsibility in case an insurance company collapses. Mr. Speaker, increasing the amount of money held by CBK will enhance accountability of insurance firms and their ability to honor claims. This bill aims to increase public trust and confidence level from potential clients as their claims are guaranteed, even in instances when insurance firms collapse. Such cases like the collapsed Stallion Insurance Company, Blue Shield Insurance Company, among other companies. This amendment will also ensure the sanity and professionalism of directors and senior management staff in the insurance sector through the proposed stringent penalties for any offenses committed in accordance to this proposal. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to support and thank the Majority Leader for bringing the amendment to the floor of this House. I thank you.
The Honorable Owen Bayer.
Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for giving this opportunity to make comments on this Insurance Amendment Bill 2023. Honorable Speaker, this bill brings accountability into the insurance sector and enhances what is called fiduciary duties. Actually, this bill, Honorable Speaker, brings in penalties for offenses that are created in the insurance industry by directors and, it says, stakeholders, shareholders. Honorable Speaker, the insurance industry, some of the players in the insurance industry have been rogue. They have been in such a way that they want to take your money, but when it comes to make good for what you insured, they have not been very good people. But they're very good when they want to start this process. But eventually when they get you, the business from you, then they become rogue. But then this bill tries, what this bill tries to do is to lay out the offenses and penalties relating to the management of the insurance companies. Honorable Speaker, this bill also tries to clean up some of the issues that are there. For example, some of the sections, Section 32 of the Act and Section 40 of the Act have some issues, and therefore it will align the issues that are there within these sections. Honorable Speaker, if you have business without regulations, the history of this country has shown that if you have businesses running without regulatory authorities being strict, then a lot of Kenyans get defrauded, a lot of Kenyans lose their money, and a lot of Kenyans actually lose the purpose for which they have entered into that business. And therefore, this bill, Honorable Speaker, when it becomes an act of parliament and assented to by the President, then it will bring accountability, observance of fiduciary duties, and professional responsibilities. That is what this bill is about. It is about bringing accountability, bringing observance of fiduciary duties and professional responsibility in the insurance sector. The insurance sector, Honorable Speaker, is one of those big sectors in this country that controls millions of shillings. But as it controls millions of shillings, the lives of people are attached to it, such that if I insure my car, I've insured my family, I've insured everybody. If an accident happens, I expect that expeditiously resources are made available to put that family into the former position in which they were. That is what insurance is about. Insurance is not about making money, but it's about if I suffer a loss, I should be brought to the level of where I was before. That is what insurance does. But there has been so many brokers. People do not look at it as a profession. They just look at it as a way of making money. And because of that, then governments must come in strongly to bring in penalties and offenses and try to ensure that it is regulated properly. Honorable Speaker, this bill, as it were, heightens what we call accountability and encourages more prudent approach to risk management, financial planning, and strategic decision making. That is what this bill does to bring prudence in risk management. If the insurance sector does not have prudent management of risk, then the insurance sector in this country is dead. If the insurance sector in this country is dead, then it will be very hard for us to do business. You can imagine, Honorable Speaker, I know you're a big businessman, somehow I know. And you have insured your businesses. And something happens to those businesses. But because of lack of prudence in the management of that risk, you suffer a loss both ways. The money that you have used to manage the risk of that business through insurance, and then the business is also gone. So you have a double loss. Your building is gone, and then you can't actually get the money that for many years you put in the insurance. Honorable Speaker, we need to bring prudent management of risk and strategic decision making. A lot of the decisions that are made at the insurance level are not strategic, because the people who are managing these insurances are not professionals. They just get in because they can make money. But this bill will align professionalism, risk management, prudency in the management of the sector, and therefore it is a necessary piece of legislation which, as members of this House, will need to come through and ensure that we protect the resources of this country. And Honorable Speaker, you know, there was this time when we had this dam that is being built in where Honorable Murkomen comes from, that dam. One of the greatest issues of that was how much insurance was paid for that dam. You know, and when there was a loss or an issue of loss, where did the insurance money go? We have had buildings that have been insured, and after fire brings them down, insurance can't pay. So we lose jobs. We lose jobs for the people who are working there. We lose revenue as government, and we actually lose taxes that that business would have brought. So a whole country's economy can be brought down if insurance is not properly regulated. So, Honorable Speaker, I do know insurance is food for lawyers, like the one who has just passed in front of me. You know, actuarials. You know, many players are brought together to have something called insurance. Now, if you kill insurance business in this country, very many professions will suffer. And I am sure the Honorable Osoro, who is a lawyer, will want this to be passed so that he is protected. because if insurance is protected, lawyers in this country are safe. If we play around with insurance, a lot of these lawyers will also suffer. So I want to ask the Honorable Osoro and all those members who are lawyers, including the Speaker, to support this bill so that we can protect the insurance industry in this country and protect big business and small business. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Dr. Wilberforce Undo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to also weigh on the Insurance Amendment Bill of 2023, National Assembly Bill. Honorable Speaker, I stand to support the proposed amendment to the Parent Accident Insurance Act, subject to a few reservations that I will raise as I make my presentation, and that will also deal with them at the Committee of the Whole House. Honorable Speaker, insurance is the cornerstone of a modern economy. Insurance dates back to many years since there was any form of exchange between goods and services between two or more people. Insurance dates back when people ventured out of their homestead, out of their abode, to do business, to travel, and do anything else. Insurance became necessary when people started owning assets that could be destroyed, that could be lost, and could be dated. Insurance, as we know it in this current form, is a form of a risk transfer mechanism, where we only transfer risks whose outcome is unknown. And that's why, Honorable Speaker, insurance is essentially built on the principle of many contributors, fewer claims, and fewer beneficiaries in any given accounting period. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, it's always desirable for every single person to have insurance cover, to cover their lives, to cover for medical expenses, to cover for the unknown loss of business, to cover for unknown loss or damage to an asset they own and which they cherish. However, Honorable Speaker, the story about insurance compensation, processing claims in this country is replete with very many sad stories. It's dotted with very many bad endings, and any attempt to continuously amend the Insurance Act in order to address emerging challenges is always welcome. As the chair of the Committee of Finance and National Planning has mentioned, if there is an Insurance Act, the original Insurance Act, that has gone through tremendous amendments, every single parliament, is this Insurance Act. Because at every single time, new issues arises that requires legislative, policy, and administrative intervention. Honorable Speaker, many people gladly, they are persuaded to take insurance covers. But many people dread, many insurance holders, policy holders, dread the day you go to make a claim. That's where all the small prints will be shown to you. That's the day things that you never knew that are intervening factors will be brought to fore. That's why it is important. An attempt to continuously regulate the industry is always welcome. Any attempts to continuously bring accountability, bring professionalism, and impose sanctions for discretions, either imaginary, intentional, or by an act of whichever nature, are always welcome. Honorable Speaker, Clause 67H, Clause 3 of the bill imposes quite a number, lists offenses of commission that can happen by a director, a principal officer, or management staff, as well as the shareholder. But I also want to join the majority leader, that including a shareholder among the people or persons who can commit an offense is an overkill. It's onerous and is extremely dangerous. Because for an incorporated company that's listed in the Nairobi Stock Exchange, the level of involvement of a shareholder is minimal. Even in many organizations, the level of involvement of a shareholder is minimal. And that's why I concur that at the Committee of the Whole House, we must make an amendment to truly remove or omit the shareholder under the proposed new Section 67H. Honorable Speaker, it might also be important to further amend this particular clause to include, there are very many very interesting situations, Honorable Speaker. You believe you have your insurance cover, you believe you have paid your premium, you believe you have met all the conditions of the policy, but at the time of making a claim, that's when they tell you, oh, something happened that invalidated your policy, there was delayed remittance of premiums, yet you have already paid the premiums in good time, and that time, that's where the insurance provider declines to honor the insurance cover. Consequently, and as my colleagues have mentioned, because of the unprofessional behavior of many players in the insurance industry, Kenyans are the least insured. Actually, in most of the cases, Kenyans only take insurance covers that are mandatory. They always say, why bother pay a premium when, even if something happens, we will never be compensated. And that's why, Honorable Speaker, I can assure you, even if we did a census in this country, even the motor vehicles that we have, 90% or 70% are insured the third party. Because many of the motor vehicles owners believe being compensated for even a minor accident that is already included in the policy is a long process that does not warrant any kind of intervention. So, Honorable Speaker, let me support the amendment, but we'll move some basic amendments in the Committee of the Whole House. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support.
MP for Nambale. MP for Nambale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to this particular debate. Mr. Speaker, as my colleagues have said, insurance is supposed to be a financial safety net to help one from a misfortune that has happened. However, this has changed to be the rule in this country, whereby after receiving premiums, the insurance company now deviates from the core duties they are supposed to do to their insureds, and they now start playing games. And having gone through this amendment in Section 67H, I believe that the penalties that are being introduced are going to help protect Kenyans from these most rogue insurance companies. As a practicing advocate in this country, we note that once Kenyan has a misfortune, they go through the court system, they get a judgment. But after the judgment, the insurance company that has participated in the case, they now take off, leave the claim hanging, and completely refuse to pay. In some instances, you find that the insured ends up being proclaimed and auctioned, loses property, yet he had a good policy that he had fully paid for. So, Mr. Speaker, I believe that the amendment are going to help us regulate this particular sector. And even you look at the border sector that one of the members said that majority of them, they don't have insurance. Majority of the borders and even transport operators have. They only take out insurance policy for compliance purposes with the police regulations. Kenyans have stopped knowing the purpose of insurance, that insurance is supposed to come in need at the point of accident. So that's the reason why we feel that the regulator has completely failed to perform their duties. And it's very important that this is the high time that we have this strict penalty whereby the insurer fails to meet the obligation, then they pay the penalty. As my colleagues have said, we'll propose more amendments at the committee stage, especially on the issue of the penalty. I believe that we should not leave the penalty just at the judgment stage. We must also broaden this to include circumstances whereby the insurer has been informed of an occurrence of an accident, the policy is fully paid for, and they have already investigated, but still they fail to move ahead and compensate the involved parties. So we should not just leave it for parties, first of all, to go to court. Let court be the last resort, because it becomes very expensive and frustrating to Kenyans to go all circle, spend 3-4 years for them to be compensated when this should have been done within 2-3 months as provided for in the policy cover. So, Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to support the amendment as proposed in the Act. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable John Mutunga, followed by the Honorable Osoro.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to also support the Insurance Amendment Bill 2023. Honorable Speaker, I do commend the committee for the good work to look into this particular bill, and the mover also to have brought in, the sponsor of the bill, to have brought in these amendments. Honorable Speaker, these amendments, looking at them, bring in accountability to the insurance company, and accountability is key. Honorable Speaker, they also would like, or rather try to bring in observance of the fiduciary responsibility by insurance companies. If there is no accountability, Honorable Speaker, and there is no prudent management of the resources, then the insurance companies will not be trusted, and therefore they will lose business. Besides losing business, Honorable Speaker, insurance companies is a huge business in this country, and many people rely on insurance for survival. Insurance has been used for very, very many ways. One of the ways that insurance is used is basically to support. Even people get contracts today where you are required probably to put in a board, insurance comes in, and in many other respects. So being responsible institutions is key, and improving their credibility is also key. These particular amendments bring in that particular dimension. Amending the Insurance Act, Cap 487, to provide for offenses and penalties in view of the insurance management companies is also important. We realize, Honorable Speaker, that companies or institutions run, or the functionality or efficiency and effectiveness of institutions will basically depend on who is sitting on the seat at that moment. It depends on the driver, and the driver in this particular case is the manager. Careless handling will lead to laxity, and it will lead to collapse of these institutions. Honorable Speaker, if there are no penalties, then we will serve a lot of laxity, and we will serve a lot of carelessness in the handling. If the penalties are not strict, or they're not stringent, or they're not strong, then we have impunity. People do not get the services that they pay for. So it is very important for these amendments to come in to try and bring in this dimension into that particular Insurance Act. To deliberately bring in the definition of the offenses within this particular bill is key, so that as introduced in section 67H, where we are trying to bring in the offenses relating to the management. We know that management of insurance companies is key. Well, if it is prudent, then we have institutions that can be relied upon. The requisite penalties to the managers for failures thereby is important, because we accost the individuals, therefore, to fashion their delivery in terms of giving credible management. Honorable Speaker, insurance companies that have failed in the business, or that have run out of business, have resulted to huge losses to the Kenyans, undesirable losses. And these losses have affected our people. It is important, therefore, not only to improve on accountability observance of the fiduciary responsibility, but also it is important to bring in the issue of professionalism within the insurance companies. And this is what these amendments are bringing in. It's introducing specifically, Honorable Speaker, the marginal notes to distinguish between the surveyors, the general surveyors and the insurance surveyors is important, because one can argue that these insurance surveyors were not involved and therefore they were not responsible. Honorable Speaker, the bill also strives to bring in better credence to the insurance industry. We need credible insurance companies for various reasons. Under the difficult times we are right now, under the difficult economic times we are, people will rely a lot more on insurance companies. We realize that without credibility, we are not able to have these insurance firms running the way they should. Insurance companies also cover most of the Kenyans who are not necessarily in know of what happens. And Madam Speaker, if you look at the documents of the insurance companies, they have big, medium, and very small fonts. The very small fonts define a lot of serious issues. And most of the people do not actually take time to read these small fonts. So having provisions in a law that will protect our people is key. Also, the levels of education of our people is different. And not all of them are that they will be able to understand everything. I'm looking at a case where we have introduced insurance for crops, we have introduced insurance for livestock, we have also introduced insurance for transport system. Most of the people who are engaged in these sectors do not really know how to interpret things as it were. So it is important for us to curb the likely mischief that may be brought by insurance companies by introducing credibility in what they are supposed to be doing, by introducing the penalties that touch on the individuals who manage this industry, insurance companies, and by ensuring that they are there to fiduciary responsibility. Responsibility for payment of the people at the right time, whenever they request for their payment, responsibility to proactively deal with the issues and finish them off, and responsibility to adhere to the contracts. Honourable Speaker, penalties will give us the answer. Honourable Speaker, with those very few remarks, I do support the amendments. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Osoro, followed by the Honorable Emilio Diambo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to support this bill by the Honorable Majority Leader. Honorable Speaker, it's important for us, even as we support this, reflect on our encounters, various encounters with different sales agents from the insurance companies. You'll notice, Honorable Speaker, that the history that we've had with the insurance companies has made us develop a bit of some jitters and fear whenever we hear that the sales agent is at your door, because we believe they'll come and do sweet talk, sit with you, give you projections on millions you'll make in the event of something that you are insuring against or something. And then eventually, when now you are faced with such a calamity, now things will go, the other way. They'll go south. You'll try as much as possible, and not really I'm not really generalizing, but in most instances, you will find it very hard to recover what you are seeking. And what this bill, Honorable Speaker, seeks, or this amendment seeks, is to set retribution and some serious punitive measures against such people who take advantage of the statutory requirement, and especially on the motor vehicle insurance, Honorable Speaker. If you listen to the stories by the people who have motor vehicles, especially those people who engage in motor vehicle business, the matatus, even the private vehicle owners, the lorries, the stories you'll hear are very shocking. That during registration and when they are taking premiums, these people are very good. They're very, very good. I do not know what happens. They are covering you against an accident. An accident has happened. Then they set their own standards of checking whether it is indeed true, whether the accident took place. They claim, they take you now, they tell you now after, give us 3 months. We do investigations, Honorable Speaker. 3 months goes to 6 months. They go and collect some information. They send so many people with, whom you can't, authenticate as an individual, as a client. And then they eventually give you a report sometimes which is not so pleasing. They tell you that there was contributory negligence, and there is no within their structures, unless you go to other arms of government, or rather you go to court, there is no element of appeal within their structure, because they'll tell you this is what we've decided, and we'll pay you 70% of what you insured, or 50%, or even none. That is what this amendment tries to cure. That even as we talk about setting some very strong punitive measures against those insurance people that do not, or insurance companies that do not want to pay, it's also very important for us to also standardize the format. And the insurance companies need to come up with a format that is so standard, so that we get to know that when we get an accident, this is the channel. How high do we set the standards of checking whether the claim is true or false? I mean, it can't be, in this insurance company is different, the other insurance company is different, there is another insurance company that pays well, there's another insurance company that is slow in settlement. Those are the things that we also need to cure. But again, there are other things that we also need to look at. The insurance, the brokerage companies. In this bill, you'll realize that it's limited, of course, to the directors, and it's limited to those people who are in charge. But we need to think through a way, and I think the Honorable Millie will speak after me, may understand better, that perhaps we need a way to set what I'll call, for lack of a better word, Honorable Speaker, vicarious liability. That there is a principal insurance company, and there is an agent, and there is a brokerage. So that blame is not shifted, because these are two sets of directors. A brokerage company has a director, but that is not the principal insurer. The principal insurer company could be a bigger one, like what we have here in the National Assembly. Then what happens? Who is the director? Which director will take direct fiduciary responsibility, Honorable Speaker? Perhaps this is the discussion that we need to have, so that we get to know how do we set the retribution for the agency and the mother company, so that it doesn't happen that there is a blame game. Or perhaps we also need to go through their memorandum of understanding and see what happens. Because what happens if the agency decides to close down and the mother company folds the claim and decides to down the tools? Those are the things that we also need to check out, because insurance business in this country is very easy to operate, it's very easy to open, but very hard to settle. Very easy. Any person can go and register an insurance company. But on settlement, even on the hospital bills, look at even what happens with us. Even people who are on salary like ourselves, and the employer is obligated to pay our insurance companies, premiums. We go to hospitals, and sometimes you are told, wait, we've done an email, we've written an email, we're waiting for confirmation. It's on a Sunday. You did not order, you did not tell your body to get sick on a Sunday. Then they tell you, wait, you have a sick patient there. It takes about 7 hours or so. You lose your patient, you are covered. This is something that we need to think through, because we've really tried to limit ourselves just within one angle. But even on that, these things are, and then they set a cap on what they can pay. When they tell you you are covered at 10 million on inpatient, then today they decide and say you are deceased, the way you look, we can only possibly cover 500,000, or we can cover 200,000 and you top up the rest. Then you loiter around. So is it right? We need to think through that. What is settlement? Because what this amendment proposes is punishment on such non-committal. But there is also partial commitment. One commits partially. You promise me 10 million if I fall sick. You promise me that you'll take care of my maternity care. but you limit me to 150,000. I got a challenge on this maternity matter. It is taking me to about 500,000. You are telling me top up the rest. But I've been paying all the entire premium. I mean, and finally, Honorable Speaker, does this limit to only the insurance companies that are private? What also happens to the public ones, like even NHIF, that defines what to pay and what not to pay, and still defines what you are supposed to contribute? Who is supposed to take responsibility? Is it, again, this is something else, is it an element again of vicarious liability, where again it stretches back to the AG? Perhaps those are the lines that we need to think through, so that we cover the entire area, and then people will have trust with the insurance, people will do that business, and every person will invest in something. But as it is right now, Honorable Speaker, when you tell me about insurance, you tell me cover your kids with education cover, the only thing I do is that I cover my vehicles and property, because, especially the vehicles, because it's a statutory obligation, and there is a criminal element in it. But all the rest, I mean, you do it with a second thought. With that, Honorable Speaker, I support the amendments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I wish to indicate that I do support the bill, and I also want to urge that in future, if the House can do what they have done today, which is giving Honorable Soro an opportunity to speak before me, because then he gets inspired by my spirit and he speaks very well. So congratulations, Honorable Soro, you've spoken very well, and spoken to a lot of the issues that Kenyans go through that relate to the insurance industry. And I would want to encourage you, especially with the position at which you're sitting now, that because if you look at this bill, it doesn't cover a lot of the issues that you are speaking to, but it would be nice if you can bring amendments so that those issues are covered, especially on the issue of discriminating against women who are having children, and we are treating childbirth as though it is a worse disease than some of the diseases that are covered. And it's not even a disease. So if you can actually consider doing that amendment, it would be very good. Maternity is a noble thing. It shouldn't be a thing that people criminalize or discriminate. Mr. Speaker, I'll be very brief because members have spoken a lot to this. But if you see what this amendment seeks to do is to ensure promptness in payment, is to ensure accountability by those who insure, and also to enhance punitive measures where they evade their responsibility. And Mr. Speaker, what I would actually want to say is that a lot of the amendments that I've seen that are coming before this House are born out of frustration. And they are born out of frustration not because there is a poor legislative framework, but because of an implementation framework. And you actually find that even with the law that is there now, if it was actually properly implemented, then there may not even have been there, any need to bring this amendment. But because we have enhanced a culture of impunity, then people think they can get away with anything. I would want to encourage, and I don't know how we are going to go about this, that we need to ensure that when we pass laws in this country, that they are enforced, because we can also pass this, and then the insurance agencies fail to actually do what we are urging them to do, make the deposits we want them to make and all that. And then we don't even punish them anyway. So I think for us, the greatest thing that we need to do is to make sure that there is punishment over this. I'll just speak very briefly to one of the things that Honorable Osoro has mentioned and leave it at that. Mr. Speaker, one of the things that Honorable Osoro is talking about is whether we can consider the possibility of vicarious liability, especially when we have the agencies. On my part, I think sometimes that also creates a bit of escapism. I think what we need to do is to be very sure that we find the person that we consider responsible, and for me, in that case, it should actually be the mother company, not the agents. And I would also want to say that one of the things that he has raised, which has been very frustrating, and you saw the members clapping as he was, or cheering as he was talking, is the experience that members face when they go to hospital. That sometimes you have to sit for 1 hour, you are waiting for authorization. Mr. Speaker, that is not even a legislative issue. That is an administrative issue. And I was actually saying that sometimes as members of parliament, we need to lead by example. If we can be frustrated and we are the leaders, how do we expect Kenyans then to be treated? If you are also complaining like Kenyans, how do we expect then Kenyans to be treated? For me, this is an administrative issue. And if you have an insurance agency that is not meeting our standards, this is a competitive area. Get another one. We have had insurance agencies that are excellent in the past. There are some benefits that were even removed in the past. You know, when I came in here in Parliament, if you are sick, you could go out of the country. Now I'm told, I don't know, ex gratia, blah, 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 a lot of Latin and English mixed. That does not help us a lot. So I think PSC should also look into things like that, so that if you have an agency that is not serving the interests of parliamentarians, then we need to deal with it. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to say there's a very good Azimio spirit. You can see today I'm wearing Azimio, and my 2 sisters sitting over there are very thoroughly Azimio. So there's a very nice Azimio spirit in the House. With those few remarks, I beg to support.
MP from Bere North, followed by the MP for Sotik. Where is the Honorable Sigei? Francis. Okay, followed by Muhia. In the absence.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I support this amendment forwarded by the leader majority. Mr. Speaker, these amendments speak to very important concerns of many Kenyans. Because for those who have been in school of business, Mr. Speaker, we realize that they will really tell you insurance can be termed in layman's language as legalized stealing. And many insurance companies have capitalized on the loopholes within the law to ensure they can take many Kenyans who have bought policies, different types of policies, to insure different risks. They can be taken round and round, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, until many people have never benefited to what the policies says. And you realize that they capitalize even on a very small discrepancies, even a comma, even a full stop. They tend to take advantage to ensure they don't pay the claims which come to most of these insurance companies. This amendment, Mr. Speaker, will ensure that the insurance companies take responsibilities in case insurance company, it will ensure the directors take responsibilities in case the insurance company fails or if the insurance company collapses. And we have seen a number of insurance companies in Kenya which have collapsed in the past. An example of Blue Shield Insurance, Stallion Insurance, and many others, Mr. Speaker. And when they collapse with many, many claims, many policies which have not been paid. And therefore, it is very, money which has been earned in a very difficult way from different economic activities for Kenyans to be able to pay or invest in some of these companies. These amendments, Mr. Speaker, will ensure that there is sanity and professionalism within the sector. Because even the way the management of the insurance sector is done, as it is now, we need to ensure there are more stringent penalties in case of any offense committed. And this is exactly what this amendment is trying to achieve. We need more stringent penalties in case the management of these insurance companies is not done in the most appropriate way and the most prudent way. The fiduciary measures, just as we have seen in the banking sector, which is regulated by the central bank of this country, also we need to see such strict regulations within the insurance industry. Because the difference between insurance industry and banking sector, you realize the difference is minimal, Mr. Speaker, and there is many loopholes for the management of insurance companies to take advantage of. Therefore, this amendment, Mr. Speaker, will increase the public trust in this sector, create confidence, and once the confidence of the public is created, then it means that many Kenyans can be able to invest, can be able to buy policies which can take care of themselves. You realize, Mr. Speaker, that even the agricultural sector, which is key to the economic development of our nation, we need the insurance to ensure whether it is livestock industry, whether it is sugarcane industry, or different agricultural sectors, so that the losses which many farmers have been accruing every season, they may not be able to accrue such kind of losses within the agricultural sector. And for that to happen, Mr. Speaker, we need confidence. We need to ensure the public regains confidence and trust as far as this sector is concerned. By so doing, many farmers or many Kenyans who are within agricultural sector, they'll be able to ensure the agricultural activities and minimize the losses which may occur in their activities. With these remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support this amendment and urge this House to fully support, and also to probably, when it comes to the committee of the full House, we see how we can make this amendment more stringent, the penalties can be more firm, and also to ensure we increase public trust, we increase public confidence levels for good investment in this sector, and so that we can fight all the rogue insurance companies or managers within this sector, because there are quite a number of them. And many Kenyans have been taken round and round. And I'm sure even in this House, it's not one or two, majority of us must have been taken round and round by insurance companies, me being one of them in the year 2013 when I was involved in a road accident. Mr. Speaker, I support this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And on the onset, I support the debate on the House today. Honorable Speaker, all things remaining constant, even when there is statutory insurance requirement, I think the level of confidence on insurance matters is very, very, very low. It means this institution has to build and rebuild itself to gain confidence to the common mwananchi or any other person. Even when we speak ourselves as bunge, several members have spoken before me and indicated how even ourselves we get frustrated when we know that we have been paid for and we have the cover and we have the medical card. You go to the hospital, an email has to be written, an email has to be approved. And Honorable Speaker, sometimes you have even taken your kids who are not feeling well. I want to give a general experience that I have experienced recently for the last 3 visits in the hospital here in Nairobi. Anytime I present my medical card, the card is read and then I'm informed that I have zero money. And surprisingly, even the very first visit in the hospital since July, because the calendar year for government starts on 1st of July, I had never gone to the hospital, and the first appearance in the hospital, I was informed I have zero money. And therefore, I have to call the medical team at Parliament. Then they indicate that we should look at some money they call ex gratia. Honorable Speaker, if there is any commissioner in this House, I would love them to go and discuss with our insurance team who cover the Parliament, because I don't understand what ex gratia means. I believe ex gratia is an amount settled or paid out of favor, not on any legal obligation. But every time I go to the hospital, I'm told your card is exhausted, while indeed I have not gone to the hospital. And when I call MNET, they say, let them look at ex gratia quorum. So I wonder, why are we spending that ex gratia? Why is my cover not automatically being able to serve me at the counter? That is just an example to show the country that even at our level, we cannot enjoy the insurance benefit in spite of the Government or Parliamentary Service Commission having committed so much money. While that is administrative or otherwise, but we are not getting the services that we expect. And so are the Kenyans, so are many Kenyans. Kenyans really get frustrated, as many speakers have spoken ahead of me, and I think we cannot even labor to discuss how much Kenyans experience this kind of frustration. We have seen even matatus, when they get accident, people can even get owed as they try to follow their claims. Year in, year out, finally they get frustrated and they never get compensated. So if there is a way that we can make a policy and make it implementable, that the insurance industry come to today's expected service delivery to mwananchi, this will be the best amendment or the best legislation. With that, Honorable Speaker, I support. Thank you.
The Honorable MP for Nyanges, followed by the MP Zamzam and Kaguchia.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I wish to start by saying that I support this bill. This is a bill, this is a very important bill that is supposed to bring about accountability in the insurance sector. Honorable Speaker, I am sure you've encountered these insurance salespeople. And you will agree with me that they have a very nice language, very sweet language, as they try to have you buy their insurance premiums. What they promise is that they will insure your vehicle, is that they will take care of your health insurance needs, is that they will insure your property. But, Honorable Speaker, so many Kenyans have suffered in the hands of these insurance brokers and companies. Sometimes you have your property insured, but the moment you lay claim, especially maybe after theft, after fire, or even after accident, then another story begins, another journey begins. And I am sure this has not happened to me alone, but to several other Kenyans. So, Mr. Speaker, I am in support of every effort to ensure that the insurance sector is well regulated and that the insurance companies are more accountable to Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, it is very devastating when Kenyans have got to pay monthly premiums to insurance companies, but the moment they have accidents, they cannot access the funds that they are supposed to be paid by these insurance companies. Mr. Speaker, sometimes actually these insurance companies have to be taken to court. And even after being taken to court, you will find that in most instances, they'll drag their feet and they'll eventually not even pay as per the court orders. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this because this again will ensure that more Kenyans who are not insured, who do not fall into the insurance bracket, get the confidence and the trust so as to secure their investments either in education, in health, or even their other properties. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support.
Woman Rep for Mombasa, Zamzam Chimba.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi niweze kuunga mswada huu ulioletwa na kiongozi wa wengi ndani ya bunge hili kuhusu masuala ya insurance. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni dhahiri hata kutoka vile wabunge wamezungumza kuwa insurance companies zimekuwa zikiwanyanyasa wa Kenya kwa miaka mingi sana, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, ukienda katika ofisi zao watakukaribisha na lugha tamu, na hawawezi kuzungumza wakakupatia sheria na masharti kwa lugha ambayo waweza kuelewa vizuri. Kama vile Mkenya yule bodaboda, yule mtu wa matatu, yeye anajua tu ni sheria kuwa kama sina insurance basi nitashikwa barabarani. Lakini vile itakavomfaidi yeye haelezewi kwa kina. Na ndio unaona wengi hata wakipata accident, Mheshimiwa Spika, wakikimbia kwenye makampuni ya insurance, unapata wanakuwa kuna vuta ni kuvute, mara gari lilikuwa wapi, uligongona nyuma, uligongona mbele, ulikuwa mlevi, sijui wanaleta masharti mengi ambayo haya masharti hawaelezei mwanzo wakianza kuchukua insurance. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna Wakenya wengi ambao hawaelewi sheria na masharti, na wengi unapata, samahani kama kuna maloya hapa, unasikia insurance inamwambia nenda ukatafute lawyer. Anatafuta lawyer kumsaidia kwa sababu yeye haelewi na amekuwa akilipa. Pesa zikitoka unapata yeye anapewa kitu kidogo, pesa zingine nyingi ambazo zingemsaidia zinaenda kwa wakili kwa sababu naye wakili amefanya kazi. Lakini sasa ingekuwa kama wanaelezea Wakenya na inakuwa ile direct kuwa wewe, mimi ulikuwa umefanya insurance kwangu na umepata hii tatizo na mimi nimeliona na kusaidia direct, na mgao wako wote ni huu ambao utaweza kukusaidia. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, nilikuwa wakati mmoja hospitali nikiwa mgonjwa, hapa nikiwa bungeni karibu masaa 7 nasubiri sijui clearance ya ile insurance yetu ile ya health. Mheshimiwa Spika, nilitamaushwa sana. Mimi nimepewa dawa, naambiwa kuwa napewa zile strips za kuweza kupima damu, sukari, lakini ile mashini naambiwa nikanunue mwenyewe. Sasa nikawa nashindwa, napewa hizi strips bila mashini ya kupima, kwa sababu insurance wamekataa, wanasema hawakavi kitu kama hicho. Nikauliza sasa mimi nikachukua ile strips niweke kwa stove nijipime ama nifanyeje? Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hiyo utapata insurance nyingi zimekuwa zinakosa nidhamu, Mheshimiwa Spika, na zimenyanyasa Wakenya miaka mingi sana, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na mimi nataka nipongeze haya marekebisho ya leo ambayo yameletwa ili waweze kushikwa wakiwa wanaweza kukosea Wakenya. Hizi penalties ambazo wamewekewa, Mheshimiwa Spika, zitafanya wawe na nidhamu katika kuhudumia Wakenya, zitafanya wale managers na wale madirectors wawe na nidhamu katika kazi yao, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na mimi pia napongeza kipengee ambacho kimesema Central Bank iweze kushika mgao zaidi kutoka kwa insurance, ili yule Mkenya ambaye atakuwa amepata matatizo na pengine hii insurance imefilisika ikaanguka, anaweza kupata fidia. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, watu wengi wamepoteza mali zao na insurance ikawa imefungwa, hawakuweza kupata fidia. Mheshimiwa Spika, hawakujua wataenda kuuliza nani, Mheshimiwa Spika. Lakini mimi leo nafurahi sana kama mama Mombasa County kuona kuwa at long last hawa watu ambao wamekuwa wakitapeli wa Kenya kwa jina la kuwa insurance, kuna wao wengine wamefanya vizuri, lakini wengi wao, Mheshimiwa Spika, ilikuwa hii ni kitega uchumi kwao. Ilikuwa wanajua watakusanya mapeni, wakusanye kwa maskini, wakusanye kwa tajiri, lakini wakati ambapo tatizo linatokea, Mheshimiwa Spika, unapata anaanza kuleta masharti na mambo mengi, analeta ujanja mwingi. Leo hii wako kule nje, mimi nawaambia sheria inatungwa katika bunge la 13, sheria inarekebishwa katika bunge la 13, na Wakenya kule nje watapata services nzuri kutoka katika insurance companies, na ule utapeli uliokuwa unaendelea, Mheshimiwa Spika, leo utakoma na Wakenya watapata huduma ambayo ni huduma bora zaidi. Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna watu wamepoteza nyumba zao, wamechomekewa na nyumba zao. Mtu akienda insurance anaambiwa ilianza na nini, ilikuwa ni stima, ilikuwa ni nini, paka tufanye uchunguzi, mtu yalala kwa baridi. Huo uchunguzi unachukua hata miaka, mtu anakaa kwa shida, hajapata fidia. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, Wakenya wamehangaika kwa miaka mingi sana. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nikizungumza nitazungumza paka kesho, nikiangalia wale bodaboda. Mheshimiwa Spika, bodaboda ameenda amekata insurance, amebeba mtu, hakuelezewa wewe hii insurance yako, kama hauna helmet hatuwezi kukupa fidia, kama utakuwa umekuwa mlevi hatuwezi kukupa fidia, kama yani masharti yote wapewe kwa uhakika na waelekezwe vizuri. Mheshimiwa Spika, lakini hawa walikuwa wakichukua pesa tu, wakati ukija wao wanachukua pesa, lakini wakati wa huduma wanaanza kuleta masharti mengi madogo na kuweza kukwepa kulipa fidia kwa Wakenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, hata hawa ambao wanatupa sisi huduma za hospitali, Mheshimiwa Spika, leo mimi nina furaha kwa sababu tutapata huduma bila kusumbuliwa. Wale Wakenya ambao wako kule chini, ambao walichukua insurance katika afya yao, na wao pia watapata huduma bila kusumbuliwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni dhahiri shairi kuwa miaka nenda miaka rudi, Mheshimiwa Spika, insurance wamekuwa wakiona Wakenya kwa unyonge wao, wakiweza kuwatapeli, wakiweza kuwakosesha haki zao za kimsingi. Mheshimiwa Spika, wakichukua pesa zao, wakifanya biashara zao, wakati Mkenya anapopata na matatizo anaanza kusukumwa, inakuwa mchezo wa kirba goji kirba, haelewi ashike wapi, haelewi aende kwa nani. Na hata kama sisi ambao ni wasomi tulishindwa, yule Mkenya ambaye pengine hana habari, yeye pesa zake zachukuliwa kila siku. Mheshimiwa Spika, ilikuwa ni mtihani mkubwa. Napongeza sana kiongozi wa wengi, napongeza sana Mheshimiwa Ichung'wah kuweza kuleta hii mabadiliko katika sheria ili iweze kumfaidi Mkenya. Wao ndio tunajua watapata faida, lakini wale cha kwao cha halali, na Mkenya naye aweze naye kufaidika kwa mapeni ambayo amewekeza katika insurance. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa vile kuna wengi ambao wataka kuzungumza, mimi nitakomea hapa nikisema napongeza sana marekebisho ya katiba katika mambo yanayohusika na insurance. Mheshimiwa Spika, asante sana.
The Honorable Kaguchia, followed by the MP for Wajir North. Honorable Kaguchia.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I appreciate the opportunity to make a contribution to this bill. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want to congratulate the Honorable Majority Leader and the government indeed for having sponsored this amendment to this House to have the issue of insurance industry addressed. Honorable Speaker, it is clear that it's only in the insurance industry where we have not been able to seal some of the gaps that have been sealed by other sectors. Most of you will bear me witness that if you go to other sectors like we have in the circles, probably because of the challenges that we have had in that space, we have now been able to establish the proper professional ethics, and we have ensured that, or rather the government has ensured that people who are in that industry do take responsibility whenever they fail to act in a certain way that helps the public to ensure that their resources are well safeguarded. Honorable Speaker, it is now high time that the insurance industry smells the coffee and realizes that it is not business as usual there are many people who have been coming together to form the insurance companies with the sole intention of defrauding Kenyans, and their days are now numbered because this amendment is establishing the accountability system, whereby if as a member or a manager, a director, or a principal officer, for one reason or another, you fail to act, or you act in a way that causes loss to Kenyans, then you carry that burden as a person. This is really part of the professional ethics that must be practiced not only in other sectors, but also in this particular sector where we have the insurance industry, Mr. Speaker. And one of the things that our insurance industry must be alive to is the issue of being truthful. Because when you find the salespersons who come to sell insurance to the people, more often than not, they put exaggerated data, they lie to people, they give you wrong interest rates that they're going to give on some of the investments that you're likely to do with some of the insurance industries or some of these insurers. And for sure, by the time you discover that you have been duped, it is 10 years that have passed. Same to the issue of health insurance, whereby you have an insurance, but the insurance that you take, more often than not, you do not get the benefits that you are promised at the point of taking this insurance. So the issue of truthfulness is very important. Of course, this amendment must also be applied on the reinsurers, because every insurance must also have they must also keep their money with another reinsuring company, so that we can have some kind of a backup. So that should this insurance company not be able to make good some of the claims that have been awarded to the claimants, then we have an insurance company that will come in and ensure that there is fairness for the people who have their claims. Of course, Honorable Speaker, we also have a challenge whenever a claim has been placed, and of course the customer or the client has been awarded some amount of money. Some of the lawyers and advocates who stand in for these customers, they get these finances or these funds and they fail to remit them to the claimants. And this, of course, has been probably a bigger problem in this country than even it is with the insurance companies. So we must go after these advocates, rogue advocates, who run away with the money that belongs to the claimants, to ensure that the person who gets their claims catered for do benefit from that particular fund. And of course, it's not only the advocates who are caught up in this trap. We also have some of the government agencies. We have had situations where permanent secretaries, our principal secretaries and other government officers have failed to make good the judgments that claimants have been given by the courts of law on certain cases of compensation. Honorable Speaker, these are areas that we must also be able to address so that we can bring back the confidence of the common people in the insurance industry, not only in the insurance industry, but in the whole financial sector. And I'm very encouraged that the government is taking very serious steps now to ensure that that confidence is restored, so that people can know that once you have taken an insurance policy, once you have a legitimate expectation on compensation in a certain area where you have invested your money, where you have an expectation, a legitimate expectation, then when your time to benefit comes, you must then get that benefit. And because that confidence is going to ensure that the sector thrives, it's going to ensure that the sector grows and gets expanded. And this is very important. And so I really want to stand in support of this amendment and say that we are headed the right direction. And once again, I want to point out that the Honorable Millie Odhiambo did point out that there seems to be a blue spirit in the House. But I think we also need to read the spirit of this kind of amendment and appreciate that there seems to be a Kenya Kwanza spirit in the House of trying to take care of the common mwananchi, trying to bring back confidence in our people in such a way that they're going to have trust in the systems and structures that exist in this country. And so the manifestation of blue is good, but I think the spirit of this kind of amendment really places the common mwananchi at a very high pedestal to benefit and to ensure that they are being placed at a good position whereby they will not be cheated again. So, Honorable Millie Odhiambo, as you appreciate the spirit of blue, please also appreciate the spirit of Kenya Kwanza in addressing the common mwananchi's problems where they have been duped for many years. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable MP for Wajir North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in every sector in this country of our economy, it has become common that there are cartels who manage it, who run it, who complicate issues, lives and livelihoods for Kenyans. The insurance sector is not different from all these other sectors. This is one of the biggest cartels that siphon premiums, the money of the insured, taking away the benefits so intended. Mr. Speaker, the rot in the sector is so high, astronomical, to an extent you will first have to ask yourself, who owns the insurance companies in Kenya? If you look at Upper Hill, all those tall buildings, monumental houses,
holders are notified to report and surrender unclaimed financial